Are you guys ready? Today. Oh, wait, I don't even have the chapter set up. Today, we will be going for as long as we can on this beautiful, glorious day. We have 8 hours. Now, I don't know if we're going to split the video into 2 parts, maybe, depending if we take like a 30-minute break or something. But that is not the goal. The goal is to go for 8 hours, brothers and sisters. I hope you guys are ready. I hope you guys have nothing better to do with your day, okay? If you are getting this notification, call out of work. Come hang out with us. Cult music, this is banger music. This is the movie that thrives. This is the music that fuels the soul. Today we go. Today we will push our limits. Actually, no, hold on. We've pushed our limits in the past. 2025, we went for like 9 hours with LOTM. We'll see how long we go with this. But I'm ready. I'm ready. Oh my god, I forgot. Somebody said Rain. The last thing we left off was fucking Sunny confronts. I was gonna say Nephis. What the fuck? No. Sunny confronts Rain. And she was being a bitch. She's like, what are you looking at, Brad? And I'm like, oh my god, this is she's changed. She's evil. She's mean. She's rude. And it breaks my heart and it aches because Sunny has gone through so much misery and he gets hit with that. It must be like fucking whiplash. I have exactly nothing to do. Hell yeah, this is perfect. That's my guy right there. All right, let's pause and let's get to it. Chapter 481. It's called First Meeting. Oh my god, I'm so ready. I was singing at the top of my lung, so I kind of lost my voice. That was such a bad idea, but it's okay. It's okay. We're reviving. We listen to Linkin Park, and we're good. Chapter 481 is called First Meeting. What is she doing here? Why is she talking to me? Although Sunny was panicking on the inside, none of the emotions reflected on his face. Armed with the extensive experience of deceit, manipulation, and facing terrifying nightmare creatures in melee, he kept a straight face, threw a dark look at Rain, and calmly said, Whoa. I am not staring at anything. And who are you calling a brat? You brat? Respect your elders. The girl scoffed. What elders? You're obviously younger than me. Sunny opened his eyes wide in outrage. Ouch. He knew that he looked younger than his age, but to be mistaken for a middle schooler, that was just too much. It was getting dark, so maybe we are going to loop the music. He knew that he looked younger than his age, but to be mistaken for a middle schooler, that was just too much. It was getting dark, so maybe that was the reason for her mistake. Rain, meanwhile, was not done speaking, and you were definitely staring at me with a very nasty expressive. I almost tripped. Did your parents teach you not to stare? If only she knew how rude she sounds right now. Damn, man. Sunny opened his mouth, then closed it again, then opened it once more. First of all, I am 18. Second, I was just zoning out and thinking about stuff. Adult stuff that a youngster like you would not even understand. And lastly, my parents taught me all they needed to teach me, but what do they have to do with any of this? They're not here. Rain mockingly raised an eyebrow. Oh yeah, you live in this big house all alone? Sunny furrowed his brows. No, not only do I live alone in this house, I also own it. But right at that moment, Effie suddenly shouted from inside, Sunny, come eat, dinner is getting cold. I feel like she did that on purpose. I feel like that was intentional. Sunny, come eat, dinner's getting cold. He froze and felt the tips of his ears growing hot. Damn it, Effie, that's a guest of mine. She's staying over for reasons. Rain stared at him for a few moments with an expression on her face, and then asked, your name is Sunny? Oh, she knows. Sunny shrugged, trying to appear as indifferent as possible. Sure, why? She shrugged. She suddenly laughed. What's so funny? No, just that my mom calls me Rainy. Oh my god. What a coincidence. Rainy? Oh, man. Oh, that's so fucking beautiful, man. It's like she just doesn't know. He relaxed. Oh, for a moment I was afraid that she remembers me, but it doesn't seem that way. Good, that is good. Was he a little bit disappointed? So he took out his communicator, pressed a button on it, and threw it at the edge chip that slid from the slick device to Rain. She was in process of asking another question. Oh, and by the way, I often see you meandering on the approach and skipping school. Are you a delinquent or what? Then she caught the chip and stared at it in confusion. What's this? Then he smiled with the corner of his mouth. Can't you see? That's a government-issue citizenship chip. Now, would I have one if I wasn't of legal age? Rain looked at the chip, then grew even paler than usual. You really are 18. This fucking dude. He's so funny. She was so mortified that she even used a proper honorific. Sunny left. Of course I am. I am, as a respectful adult, I never lie. I am the most honest person in the world, really. And he's not lying. He's telling the truth. The girl seemed like she was currently wishing to sink into the earth. Oh, I am so sorry that I didn't think. As a child that grew up in a good family, she was most likely taught to be very polite to elders, so the situation was more or less a nightmare. Nightmare, you'd say? Okay, foreshadowing. Sunny himself had never associated with types of people who were particular about etiquette, but for what he had seen in Rain's school, among her ilk's social hierarchy and proper rituals were all the rage. Luckily, Effie decided to appear at the very moment to put an end to the awakened situation, opening the door. She rolled her wheelchair onto the porch while saying angrily, "Listen, doofus, are you going to eat or not? Because of it, I'll eat your portion too, you know." And then she stopped and stared at Rain and then at Sunny. After a few moments, she asked, she's like, "Oh no, who's your friend?" "Who's your friend?" Sunny rubbed his face. "Eat as much as you want. And this girl lives in the neighborhood. She was just passing by." Ray nodded. "Nice to meet you, ma'am. I am very sorry. I was just on my way home from school and made a mistake. You see what has happened." Effie grinned and gestured for her to stop talking. "Let me guess, this one right here was zoning out with a nasty expression on his face and then looked at you and said something wildly inappropriate." "Yeah, she said it, yeah." Rain blinked a couple of times and said, "Yes, I mean no. He didn't say anything. It was me. I said something inappropriate." The former hunter shook her head. "Then you're lucky. Sunny here is a bit special, one of a kind. The thing that sometimes come out of his mouth." Sunny stared at her in outrage and hissed, "The things that come out of her mouth, you're one to talk." She sighed. Then Rain looked with a hurt expression on her face. "You see how he bullies me? That's not the way to treat a guest, Sunny. So ungracious. What will this nice neighborhood kid even think?" Rain energetically shook her head. No, I won't. I think this is a good encounter. No, I won't think anything. I have to go home, actually. It's been nice meeting you." With that, she hurriedly turned around and a maid step to walk away. If you raise her voice a little, "Bye, nice to meet you. If you feel guilty about the misunderstanding, you can stop by any time with food and we'll all be forgiven." "I'm sorry." She gave her an open invitation. Sunny stared at her with wide eyes, not quite believing what he was hearing. Finally, when Rain's figure disappeared behind the green fence, Effie turned to him and smiled. "It's almost like there's a factory somewhere in the city releasing whole batches of tiny, pale, bony teenagers. That girl is almost as pale as you, Sunny. I can't believe it. If only she was able to pick up on that." With that, she took her head, turned her wheelchair, and went back inside to continue her dinner, leaving Sunny alone, flabbergasted and trying to determine if he was currently awake. What just happened? Of all the countless scenarios he had in his head of how his first meeting with Rain would go, this was definitely not one of them. Yo, 62 viewers. Holy shit. I guess that's what happens when we do make our announcements pretty early on, huh? I think overall, that was a really good encounter. There was a little bit of like misunderstanding, miscommunication, but then it's like, it became very funny. And I don't know, I thought that was a sweet conversation. And oh man, it's gonna hit when they find out. When everybody finds out, they're like, oh shit. Chapter 482, and I hope you guys can hear the music. It's called Peace Offering. Sunny and Rain have a peace offering, maybe? Sunny was too shaken by what had just happened to do anything else today, so he just went down to the basement and entered the dream realm. Oh, already? And remained in the small room of the sanctuary instead of going out to fight nightmare creatures. There, he just slept peacefully for the entire night. This was a very strange way to act for Sunny, but many awakened did just that every day. Unless their citadel was under attack, which happened frequently in most parts of the dream realm, or they were assigned a certain duty, people just remained in their quarters, slept, and returned to the real world without throwing themselves into any kind of danger. I'm so dumb. When I thought we were in the dream scale. We're like, oh, we're back to MONGREL. Like, we're back to leveling up. No, hold up. Dream realm. Others perform various tasks to earn a livelihood in the citadel, all the while staying safe behind its walls. Few frequently ventured outside and challenged the wilderness of the dream realm, and who could blame them? Most people were made awaken against their will. After all, it was a spell that wanted humans to risk their lives, go through deadly trials, and endure terrible suffering, not people themselves. So there was nothing wrong with people who wanted to stay safe, to stay as safe as possible for as long as possible. If anything, it was Sunny who behaved abnormally. In any case, he felt refreshed, more balanced when he returned to the real world in the morning. A good night of sleep helped him put his unexpected encounter with Rain in perspective. Yes, it was an unfortunate mistake on his part, and yes, the fact that She now knew his face and name was less than ideal, but truly nothing too bad had happened. Rain just thought about him as a neighbor, not even an acquaintance, just a stranger. With that, just as Sunny wanted it to be on the safe side, he could avoid leaving the house for a while together. And yet in the evening, he found himself sitting on the porch again, enjoying the view and cup of tea as he had already grown used to it. After yesterday, I doubt that she'll ever want to approach this house again, so I should be alright. But as it turned out, he was not ready. Sunny noticed Rain walking from the public transport terminal long before she came anywhere near his home. Oh. Because one of his shadows was stationed further down the street to keep a lookout, he sighed and lowered his eyes and pretended to study the 10-foot surface of the porch, hoping to avoid making eye contact with the teenage girl. This time he was not going to give her a reason to come closer and talk to him. Oh, no, that breaks my heart. However, it was all for naught. When Rain approached the path leading to the door, she slowed down a bit, hesitated, then turned and walked directly at him. What the hell? Sunny raised his head and stared at her with a bit of surprise. Hi, it's you again. She nodded, then took off her backpack and produced a big food container out of it, seemingly full of something delicious. Then Rain handed it to Sunny. Here, my mom made it. Your friend said to bring food, right? Oh, and I'm really sorry for, yesterday. I'm about to cry. Sunny blinked a couple of times and took the container from her hands and stared at it for a bit. Damn Effie, who told her to ask for food? I cook great food for both of us myself. Oh, man. Then he pretended to smile and said, yes, she did, and no problem. Say thanks to your mom. Sunny thought that the conversation would be over after that, but Rain lingered. There was a sort of curious expression on her face. It's nothing much, just some pasta with mushrooms and cream sauce. My favorite, Sunny, right? Oh, my God, dude. It's like she doesn't know, bro. That's your fucking brother. That is so sad, man. My favorite, Sunny, right? I'm Rain, by the way. He looked at the food container again, reevaluating his stance on its existence. Nothing special, huh? He was willing to bet that the ingredients she listed were all natural too. A far cry from synth-paced people like him usually consume to keep their bellies full in the outskirts. Sunny knew a few guys who would kill to eat something like this. His smile became more genuine. Yep, I'm Sunny. Nice to meet you, Rain. She smiled slightly, hesitated for a moment, then asked, so you're really 18 and live alone in your own house? I mean, with that nice friend of yours? Sunny shrugged. Sure, she's just staying over until she finds a place of her own, though. Why? The girl looked at him with wide eyes. I mean, aren't you a bit young to live on your own? Aren't your parents worried? He stared at her for a couple of seconds, then tilted his head a little. I think that I'm of a perfect age to live on my own, and no, my parents aren't worried about me one bit. Rain smiled. Oh, if only she knew. Rain smiled as though hearing the most fascinating thing ever, but like, who cooks your food? No, wait. Who buys your wood? Do you get all an allowance, or do you have a stipend from your university? Wait, do you even go to university? I have so many questions. Sunny mentally groaned. Questions? I hate questions. Outwardly, though, he remained calm. What kind of questions are those? Obviously, I buy and cook my food myself. And who needs a university stipend? I am widely successful young entrepreneur, if you must know. Basically, I do whatever I want. I'm an entrepreneur, you'd say. Rain stared at him, and your parents just let you. They're not lecturing you every day about the future, the importance of having a productive career, and how you must always be ready in case you get infected by the spell. Sunny furrowed his brows. No, none of those, if only she knew. Rain looked at him with envy and sighed. You're lucky, my mom and dad are like hawks. What the hell is a hawk? Something bad, I presume. He remained silent for— He doesn't know what's a hawk? Really? What the hell is a hawk? Something bad, I presume? He remained silent for a while. A complicated expression appeared on his face. Finally, Sunny said, don't be hard on your mom and dad. You're the lucky one, really. I sort of twisted the truth a little. My parents don't care about where I am and what I do because I don't have parents. So I would rather be in your situation than mine. Great as it is, yours is a bit greater. Rain stopped, smiled, and looked at him with a hard-to-read, sad expression on her pale face. Then she said quietly, oh, I see. Sorry, I didn't know. She smiled a little and waved. Well, I'll be going then. Enjoy your pasta, Sunny. The young girl put her backpack back on, turned around, and left. Sunny remained on the porch for a while, staring at the tray of food. Slowly, a dark expression settled on his face. I can't continue doing nothing more. I need to make a decision and proceed. I wasted too much time as it is already. Oh my god. He avoided doing anything about getting Rain ready for a possibility of becoming infected by the spell because he didn't know what to do and how. But this action had to stop. He had to come up with something. Dude, I think he should come clean. I'll be honest, man. I think he should just tell her, like, look, I'm your older brother. I was infected by the spell, and you're probably gonna get it too. I should probably train you. I think he needs to have that hard talk with her and just fucking tell her, man, because this is so bad. Like it's like these interactions are nice and sweet and they're kind of funny and sad and bitter and all that, but dude, it's so dangerous. We should be fucking training her, right? I don't know, man. I'm scared. Chapter 483. Damn, why am I so itchy? Damn, that's dangerous. He's not even that selfish. Chapter 483 is called 200 Seconds. He is not mature enough to tell the truth. That is true, but if she's just very persistent, I feel like he'd give in to his flaw, right? And he'd come clean. I don't know. I feel like if everything kind of sorts itself correctly, you know, right place, right time, his flaw would take over and he has to come clean. Who knows? Chapter 483 is called 200 Seconds. The problem was he didn't know enough to make a good decision, and even then was he even qualified to make it? Sunny had a lot of experience dealing with various situations, possessed a quick wit, and was street smart, as well as having a real talent for killing things and remaining alive. Without wasting time on false modesty, he could admit that he excelled at many things, but were the things he excelled at even applicable to training a young girl for the nightmare spell? After all, what he wanted to give her were not combat skills or survival tactics, though she was being taught already in an elite school that someone like him would have never been able to attend. What he wanted to give her was a mindset that would allow her to survive in the unforgiving hell of the dream realm, and mind was a delicate thing. Dude, we put her in the dreamscape with him. Do you remember Sunny's bound to Neff and she has the bone to pick with some people? What do you mean she has some bone to pick? No. No. I don't know if you're implying that, like, maybe he shouldn't reveal who he is to her because of Neff. I don't think that's what it is. Oop, hand slip? I don't know. I don't think so. If he went about it in the wrong way, he could bring more harm than good. Not to mention that everyone was different, and what worked for him was not guaranteed to work for someone else. Take his own friends, for example. All of them had wildly diverging mindsets, but each of them had been able to thrive even in places as dire as harrowing as the Forgotten Shore. So what the hell do I do? Sunny massaged his temples, then sighed. First of all, he had to observe more and understand more. Whatever he wanted to decide, it was so stupid to try and base that decision on observing Rain for a single day as she went about her classes. Maybe I'll get inspired, or maybe my intuition will give me a hint. Hint. Raise volume. That is my hint. Will give me a hint. With that, though, he frowned, finished his tea, and went inside. The next morning, Sunny left his house early and used the transit system to reach the district where Rain's school was located. No fucking way is he gonna be an instructor. I've never forgotten about anybody. No. So if they didn't leak your messages, I assume it wasn't a spoiler. You talked about Neff? No. Neff is crazy? No. She's chill. Yo, all they shadow safe, a little bit clickbait, but yes, we're gonna go for as long as we can, at least 8 hours. Now that he knew the place, he didn't need to follow his sister around. Instead, he went ahead and returned to the cafe he had hidden in the last time, and sent one of his shadows to keep watch on the entrance of the school as it waited for the young girl to appear. Half an hour later, he noticed her figure and slightly ordered a shadow to follow Rain inside. I am going to have to keep studying her demeanor for a while, a few weeks at least. By then, it is going to be clear if my initial impression was right, or if I need to reconsider my evaluation. I'll also understand her strengths and weaknesses much better. Teddy had to stop himself from groaning. A few weeks, that was going to really eat into his time. Both the hunt for shadow fragments and his training with Effie and Saint were going to suffer, which was such a shame. Recently, he was starting to feel a hint of confidence when handling the cruel side in its spear form. I know, he's getting good at it. Previously, Sunny had mistakenly considered the spear to be a rather static weapon, one mostly capable of only straightforward thrust attacks. And on the surface, it was more than that. This was actually one of its best features. Anyone could use a spear with a decent level of effectiveness. That was why it ruled on the battlefield for thousands of years. Unlike the sword, a person didn't need endless hours of practice to become proficient amateur with it. But in the hands of a master, the spear was completely a different beast. It was swift, deadly, and unpredictable, capable of a vast variety of attacks and a wide array of ranges. It was truly a versatile weapon, capable of dealing devastating damage to anyone who would dare to approach its wielder. What Sunny liked the most, though, was how deceiving a spear could be. Cruel Sight in particular. I scrolled down too much. Cruel Sight, 67 people. God damn. Thank you guys for tuning in. Cruel Sight in particular was especially flexible due to its long blade, which could both piece and slash, not to mention the fact that the length of its shaft could be changed at will. Said it was still much more comfortable with swords though, especially familiar ones, like Midnight Shard of the Great Odachi form of the Soul Serpent. He was growing rather fond of the ability to keep his enemies further away from his body, and the Cruel Sight gave him nevertheless. So it was a real shame that he was going to have to reduce the amount of time he trained by a lot. That was not even the main reason why he felt malcontent about the prospect of spending weeks observing Rain at school though. The main reason was teenagers. I'm sorry, he's scared? Sunny clearly remembered the mental trauma he had experienced after being forced to watch the young elites attending the prestigious schools, making life difficult for both themselves and teachers. Even after having to fall into an endless abyss while eating the rotten meat of the devil and burning in the ocean of the divine flames, he would rather repeat the whole thing than experience school life again. Holy shit, Sunny. That hits too close to home. Well, almost not really. I feel like now the music is too loud, so I'm lowered a bit. Well, not really. With his eyes, Sunny concentrated on the pastry in front of him and prepared for a long and arduous day. The pastry alone made his mood better simply because the fact that it didn't come from a mimic. Is the music too loud or is it chill? I think that's still one of the best lines. Children, we are all children. That was probably one of like the most fucked up lines in the whole book, man. Like, bro, they're like not even adults, man. That shit's fucked up. They like barely been alive for a fraction, you know? With his eyes, Sunny concentrated on the pastry in front of him and prepared for a long and arduous day. The pastry alone made his mood better simply because of the fact that it didn't come from a mimic. Yeah, I can use a cringe joke and still be funny. Amen. The young elites were the same, venomous, incredibly misguided, and infuriating. Luckily, Rain was also the same. She studied quietly and avoided all the drama, which basically made her a bit too loud, which basically made her pariah. What does that even mean? It made her pariah? The young elites were the same, venomous, incredibly misguided, and infuriating. Luckily, Rain was also the same. She studied quietly and avoided all the drama, which basically made her pariah. Pariah. Okay, I'll pretend I know what that means. Good girl, Rain. That's right. Disregard all the nonsense and learn as much as you can. Knowledge is a privilege. These classmates of yours are too stupid to value it, but you're not. Well, it wasn't as though they were some delinquents either. Academic achievements was the cornerstone of the social hierarchy in this elite school, so the competition among the students was fierce. It was just that most saw learning as a tool to earn status as opposed to the goal. Not that their priorities were any of Sunny's business, however. Hour went after hour, and at some point he decided to leave the cafe and take a walk to chase away the boredom. But before he could, however, something happened. His communicator suddenly let out a rattling, echoing, ringing sound. A second later, the sound repeated. Is it Jet calling her? And it wasn't only just him. Every person in the cafe. Everybody that has one gets a beep when a gate opens, right? Every person in the cafe, from the clients to the members of the staff, was receiving the same notification. Sunny's chest grew cold. He knew the sound, of course. Everyone in the world knew of it and dreaded it. Oh shit, a gate opened. Looking down, he saw the familiar text appear on the screen of his communicator. No, the notification read, oh no, emergency notification. Emergency alert, gate activity detected in your proximity, ETA 201 seconds, evacuate immediately. Oh, fuck, I'm getting chills. Oh, this is so not good. He needs to go in there and save Rain. Oh my God, it's a fucking gate. Oh my, I'm scared. Hold up, I'm also excited. Let me do my timestamps first. I'm scared, but Sunny's such a Sigma Alpha Omega Delta, he got this shit in the back. Okay, he's like the Giga Chad walking around. We're okay. Yeah, he's Aura. Just like another character at another situation when we're in a school academy and then there's a gate. Okay, hold up. This is the only solo leveling reference. I was a diehard solo leveling fan. It was my first manhwa. I know for people that don't like it, okay, cool. One of my favorite parts in early solo leveling when, you know, he got his aura boost up. I'm getting lightheaded because I'm scared to read this chapter. But one of my favorite parts was when a gate opened up at the school and he went in there. He saved the students. He saved the teacher. I thought it was really good. I don't know if something like that is gonna happen, but oh, shit, dude. Why did I never think that a gate would open in the real world? My stupid ass, like, bro, we're gonna save everybody. There's never gonna be a gate open in the real world. Everybody's gonna beat their nightmare. Mods, can you please send Easy Geeky the edit of this moment? There's an edit. Okay. It is similar to solo leveling. To some. Oh, wait, I'll stop reading right there. You said to some extent. No edits? Okay, we can save edits for the end. It's okay. A gate, there is a gate. Before Sunny even comprehended these words, he was trembling. Cold fear raised from the depths of his heart to swallow him whole. This was not a concise response, but an instinctual reaction, something that his body had learned to do in the past, the terror that all the modern humans came to bear in their very bones. I hope you guys can hear it, but we'll play this one for a bit. We're going to loop it. There's a part in the middle song that's a little bit too loud, but I think we'll be okay. The grating, echoing, ringing meant only one thing: run. If you wish to live, if you don't want to die in a manner so harrowing that the words could not describe it. But Sunny wasn't a mundane human anymore. Strangling the instinctual fear, he threw it aside and stared at the screens of the communicator with a dark expression on his face. Too loud on my end. The notification was similar to ones he had seen several times in the past. Previously, when he lived in the outskirts, he had learned of the devastation and opening gates could bring firsthand. Wherever you lived, you were bound to hear the sound once every few years. Granted, the infrastructure in the outskirts was less developed than the proper parts of the city, and there wasn't a lot of waking around, so the results were often much more disastrous. Oh. He was a very respectable district right now, but ironically, things were much worse. Sunny was very versed in technology the government used to detect appearing gates in advance, but he knew that it failed this time. Usually, people would receive a notification at least 10 minutes, half an hour, sometimes even days before the dreaded event. Oh, I know. We'll get the battle music. This is like the prelude to battle music. This gave most of them time to evacuate out of the impact zone, also allowed the government forces to arrive before the flood of nightmare creatures broke free of the opening gates and cut through the ranks of nearby Awakened who tried to stall it. 200 seconds, that was nothing, less than nothing. It was nearly not enough time for people to run, and not nearly enough for help to arrive. Such a small time window meant only one thing: that unless something happened, there was going to be a massacre. He was safe though. He could just use Shadow Step and step away at any moment. No! What the fuck? As people jumped to their feet and ran to the exit with panicked expressions, Sunny sighed and pressed on the notification. Immediately, a map opened up showing him the location where the gate was going to appear, as well as the optimal evacuation routes. Too close. Oh my god, there was no way that Rain School was going to be able to evacuate thousands of students in this time. If their hazard protocols were well established, they were not even going to try. That would just gather the children in the most protected part of the school, activate their defense system, and try to hold until help arrived. This is scary, dude. The school was in direct vicinity. Oh my, I hate this. I am getting so much fucking anxiety. Oh, I need to turn on my ceiling fan. I'm gonna get sweaty right now. The school was in direct vicinity of the opening gate, though, Sunny wasn't sure how well the defenses would do. No matter how formidable they were, even if there were several Awakened staff as security personnel or instructors for this exact eventuality, they wouldn't be able to do much. The true elites would not take such positions. After all, what to do? This time the notification interface was different from how Sunny had seen it in the past. From eating pastries to running for their lives, bro, that really was whiplash. Like, let me just eat this little delicious food. Oh shit, gate. This was an additional urgently blink symbol on the map. It was very similar to the insignia Master Jet wore on her sleeve, only this one had 2 stars on it instead of 3. The symbol was because the communicator knew that Sunny wasn't awakened. There were 192 seconds remaining until the gate opened. Out in the classroom where one of his shadows was currently hiding, the children and teacher were still staring at the notification with stunned expressions, not yet comprehending what it meant exactly, or simply refusing. Not paying a lot of attention to the chaos happening around him, Sunny pressed on the symbol and additional information appeared on the screen. Attention all awakened, request immediate action. Attention all awakened, request immediate action. Dude, music is too loud. I know, I can feel it. It's too loud. We'll just loop Forgotten Shore and we'll see. It's fitting music. Yeah, we'll just loop Forgotten Shore. Request immediate. Below that, several lines of text shimmered. Gate category 2, 89% probability. 3, 10% probability. Higher, undefined. Oh! So, wait. So the gate rank isn't guaranteed. So it's a 9 in 10 chance that it's a category 2, but then there's like a 1 in 10th possibility that's a level 3 gate, and that's what Jet goes up against. And then we don't know if there's going to be an even higher tier. Oh, that's crazy. Strike Force ETA 16 minutes 14 seconds. Bro, that is not enough time. Bro, I was laughing when you said that shit. What about Faded? Now, last one was perfect for tension. It was, but I know it gets a little bit loud sometimes. Strike Force ETA 16 minutes 14 seconds. 13 minutes, because sometimes the music is too loud and then it gets too low, and then it's kind of hard adjusting. Like if I have it too low, you can't hear it, and then if I put it just right, then it gets too loud. And but it is a good song. I really like it. A corner of Sunny's twitched, a resentful grimace appeared on his face. The earliest any government force would be able to arrive to the gate was in 13 minutes after it had opened. 13 minutes, this might as well have been an eternity, too long. And now Sunny had to make a decision. He had to either run away to respond to the call to arms and stand in front of a nightmare gate, hoping to survive in the flood of monsters for 13 entire minutes. He can fucking do it. Well, it wasn't that hard of a decision, really. Sunny knew that he was going to stay, not out of any sort of moral obligation, but simply because he wanted to. He was equally as reluctant to turn tail and allow the spell to invade his world with impunity as he wants to see countless nice, mundane humans die in maws of nightmare creatures. Like the polite waitress who served him the delicious pastries of the baker who had made them. This was his world, his city, and his fellow humans. Before Sunny was always weak and had no choice but to run, hide, and tremble in fear. He was done living his life in fear a long time ago, though. He was also done allowing anyone or anything to take what was his without a bloody fight. He was done being weak. I feel like he learned that shit from Nephis, man. Like, Nephis literally taught him, and everybody in Forgotten Shores like, bro, you should be ashamed of yourself if you're not gonna fight this spell, bro. Damn, I like that. That's hype. But even that wasn't a real... What the fuck? We're at the end of the chapter. But even that wasn't real reason. Perhaps Sunny would have considered the approaching disaster too much of a risk and retreated. But Rain was very nice to the center of the map, displaying the gate's impact zone. So really, running away wasn't even an option. 180 seconds remained. Now, left alone in the empty cafe, Sunny stood up and stretched. A heavy sigh escaped from his lips. This is going to be a wild, wild ride. Dude, that chapter was fucking hype, bro. No fighting. Gate hasn't opened. But that chapter, that hyped me up. Chapter 400. Sorry, I coughed into the mic as I hit resume play. I'm telling you, I was scared. Now I'm hyped. He's gonna solo this bitch. He's gonna be like Sung Jin Woo whenever he was on his aura farm. Sorry, I'll stop the solo leveling praise for people that don't like it. Sorry. Chapter 485 is called Lesser Evil. Now that he knew what he was in insanity going... Oh my god. Let me sip my coffee and start again. Now that he knew that he was insanity going to act, and he had to decide how exactly and to do it very fast. Sadly, the question was not as easy as it seemed. His life was too complicated for anything else. Not only was the answer to the question not too obvious, but what's worse, he had merely seconds to make a decision, which was not nearly enough to think about things through with any sort of clarity. But what choice did he have? None at all. Sunny grimaced. Let's speedrun our options. The safest and most cowardly option was to use Shadow Step into the classroom through the shadow, spying on Rain, grab the girl, and bring her away. At least it seemed safe on the surface. In reality, though, such an action would cause all types of terrible consequences, both for him and for his sister. Not only was he going to have a lot of explaining to do, revealing all the things he wanted to keep hidden, he would also leave countless witnesses, as well as digital evidence, connecting Rain to him and vice versa. Oh, you're right. Wait. This is even, that's a really, I'm like, bro, just come clean. No, he's trying to keep his whole thing a secret. And then if people find out, like, oh shit, he has a sister. Okay, I get it. Friendly reminder to everyone, he spoilers everything that hasn't happened. Thank you, Alma. That is true. Connecting to Rain and vice versa. In the future, whenever he was going to end up having really dangerous enemies, which Sunny had no doubt would happen one day, soon that evidence was going to come to light and lead them to her, which was not something he was willing to accept. So he was going out of his way. There was only one path left, doing his civil duty and going directly to the gate in hopes of stalling the tide of nightmare creatures long enough for the cavalry to arrive. Awakened who didn't work for the government were expected and encouraged but not technically obligated to respond to the call like that. Many, maybe even most, did not and chose to run instead, and who could blame them? Not everyone with an aspect was a combatant, and even those who were had not become one voluntarily, forcing these already traumatized people to go to their potential deaths under the threat of retribution if they refused was not something the government was eager to do. I will eat you alive if anyone tries it. She's like, try, guys, try her. Try Amma, try Sunny, see what happens. They're watching, they're watching. Oh, wait, don't try them, it's okay. Yo, 82 people, thank you guys. Or maybe it simply couldn't. Forcing Awakened to do anything was a dangerous idea since they could potentially topple the government if pushed too much. So the government preferred to use a carrot instead of a stick when dealing with them. It was a delicate balance. Sunny wasn't sure that he was even going to see the carrot though, because he was facing a dilemma. Yes, he had decided to fight in front of the gate, but this could also be done in several ways. 2 ways, really. Sunny could go into battle as himself or as Mongrel, protecting his identity from prying eyes and himself from any attention. He should probably use Weaver's Mask, right? Hide the fact that it's Sunny. Using Weaver's Mask was not without risk, and every time he did so without proper preparations could potentially leave behind context clues that would allow smart people to narrow down the list of suspects. But the alternative right now, with not a lot of time to weigh all the pros and cons, Sunny felt the alternative was worse. If he wanted to have a hope of surviving for 13 minutes, he was going to have to go all out, showcasing the full scope of his true powers. Oh, shit. This goes hard. That meant that all his efforts to create an image of talented but not too dangerous or noteworthy young awakened were going to be destroyed. He was going to become really, really famous and draw the eyes of an entities he wanted to remain blind to his existence for as long as possible. Perhaps even worse, he was going to create one too many coincidences for Rain to continue not noticing his secret attention. It was one thing to have a quirky neighbor if he suddenly showed up near your school in the moment of need and turned out to be one of the most deadly awakened of his generation, though. That would most likely be enough to make her start asking questions that Sunny wasn't ready to answer. So, Awakened Sunless was going to have to cowardly run away from the gate while Mongrel was going to have to stand and fight. Oh, amazing thumbnail, thank you. What a messed up situation. 170 seconds remained. Sunny sighed, knowing full well that this decision was not ideal. At the minimum, Mongrel's persona prevented him from using some of his most powerful tools, anything that people knew and associated with Sunny, no less like Cruel Sight. Oh, some people are gonna figure it out. Very few people had seen him use Saint, however. In fact, outside of Neff's cohort, Mordred was pretty much the only person who had. Oh, so he's gonna pin that Sunny, but he like, I feel like Mordred wouldn't do anything. No, I'm fucking lying. Maybe, we don't know. I don't know if he's good or bad. Never mind, I'm lying out of my ass. There were also people he had fought for the Lord of the there are also people he had fought the Lord of the Dead with, but all of them were gone now, with one notable exception. Seishan was the okay. Seishan was still alive and out there somewhere in the embrace of one of the 3 great clans. So summoning Saint, that was the female. She had her little nickname during the Dark City Civil War. I forget, but she had like long ass arms and sharp teeth. Decisions indeed. Seishan was still alive and out there somewhere in the embrace of one of the 3 great clans, so summoning Saint was not ideal too. Even though someone else had received a similar echo, revealing her was really risky. He could only do it if things got really desperate, or maybe I should reconsider, but there was no time to consider things anymore. There were less than 30 seconds left before the gate opened. He would have just to manage somehow. Sunny closed his eyes for a moment, then checked where the cameras monitoring the cafe were located, and walked into their blind zone. Then he summoned the Covetous coffers and placed his... That is so fucking smart, bro. He's like, hold up, I need to be out of camera frame. There he summoned the Covetous coffers, placed his communicator on its lid, and sent the box scurrying in the direction opposite of where he himself was headed. After that, Sunny took a deep breath and disappeared into his shadows. Oh, because they can track him. A few seconds later, and hundreds of meters away, an armored figure wearing a fearsome black mask walked out of the darkness, and blade of the Great Odachi resting on its shoulder. Dude, this is hype. This is fucking cool. Mongrel had arrived to the Nightmare Gate. Oh my god. Call of a Nightmare. That goes so fucking hard, dude. Chapter 486. Bro, I'm so fucking dumb. I thought we were only the dragon has 3 heads. I thought we were only getting Mongrel moments like in the dreamscape for like the next 100 chapters until like they were in the nightmare, until they had to conquer the second nightmare. I thought that's when we were getting him back. The big 3 frios, here we go. Chapter 486 is Call of a Nightmare. The road ahead of Sunny was almost empty. Only several people could still be seen, running away from the vertical lines where the air was rippling strangely. 100 or so meters behind their backs, where they saw the menacing figure, the stranglers recoiled. Someone let out a frightening yelp. Not paying them any attention, Sunny calmly walked forward. The soul serpent rested on his shoulder. Strange, I have never seen an opening gate up close before. Dude, is there artwork? So far stream hasn't crashed on my end. It says healthy. There has to be artwork on this moment, right? Strange, I have never seen an opening gate up close before. The deserted street in front of him did indeed look very eerie, not only because it was almost entirely empty, both of the pedestrians and of rushing PTTVs, but also because light and shadow were behaving very strangely. The hue of the light slightly wrong, the moment of the shadow slightly erratic. The sound was strange too. It was deadly quiet, but at the same time, Sunny couldn't get rid of the feeling that there was barely audible noises coming from all directions. Yes, fuck yeah. Assaulting his ears like an audible cacophony of muffled, distinct, demented screams. There was a strange pressure rising in the air, getting stronger the closer he got to the nascent nightmare gate. The gate itself was easy to recognize. It looked like a tall vertical depression in the fabric of the world, a place where light refracted in unnatural ways, and the inaudible screams were the loudest. Not a rift in reality yet, but a hint of one. Oh, here we go. In front of the gate, half a dozen people stood, staring at it in intense silence. The awakened, who just like Sunny, decided to answer the call. Only 6 of them. Really? Only 6 people? The awakened, who just like Sunny, decided to answer the call. Only 6 of them. So he might not have to go all out. While the fact didn't promise him anything good, it was to be expected. 200 seconds was just not enough for a lot of willing defenders to arrive. Even those who were ready to risk their lives in an attempt to protect the civilians needed time to get to the gate. After all, this bunch were those who had already been in immediate impact zone where the alert was sent to their communicators, just like Sunny. Maybe they were overly confident in their abilities, or maybe just like he, they had people they cared about in the surrounding areas, perhaps even in this very same school where Rain was a few hundred meters behind their backs. I just want to share one thing. I feel like the stakes have gotten a lot higher in this volume. Like, I get it. A lot of people died in the Forgotten Shore. But like at the time, in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. It's just Forgotten Shore people. I only care about the main group. And then once we started getting more people in Dark Side, I'm like, okay, like I care about a few others. But like I'm still happy that like at least 100 of them made it out. But like what I like so far about volume 3 is like now there's more stakes. Like now we're involving people that haven't even been affected by the spell. People that are just like doing their like average everyday thing. They're like going to work, they're fucking spending time with their family. Like now it's like, oh shit, now it's like more fucked up if bystanders die, and I like that. Stream started 67 minutes ago, huh? The world got bigger? It really did get bigger. And back down, Forgotten Shore, like, okay, if like a random Joe dies, I don't care. Fuck it. It's cool. It's awesome. It's gritty. And now I'm like, oh shit, now I'm getting a little emotional. And I'm not saying that's bad. I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm just meaning it. Now there's like more stakes. Even though the stakes were already high in Forgotten Shores, now it's even more. In any case, just because his sister's involved, and now like in like everybody else, Effie is still in human form. Like, bro, now we gotta protect everybody. In any case, he couldn't help but feel a bit of respect towards those people. Coming to a gate already required a lot of courage. Remaining even after it became clear that there was going to be less than 10 awakened fighting side by side to stall the tide of monsters was beyond that. These people were ready to die to fulfill their duty. Fools, brave fools. What about Sunny himself then? I am a fool too, but a cowardly one. Sunny had no plans of dying today. He knew what he was doing, and he had ways to escape if things got too dire. Without slowly down even a little, he calmly walked past the 6 awakened and stopped with his back to them, closer to the gate than anyone else. Dang. He's getting in front of them, dude. That's sick. He's like, I'll take charge. Unwittingly, Sunny found himself standing at the head of the small group of defenders. Unlike them, he showed no sign of fear. The others were staring at the gate with pale faces, their bodies tense, their eyes full of unease and dark resentment. Sunny's pose, however, was confident, indifferent, almost relaxed. Oh, wow. And in the eyes of the fearsome mass, there was nothing but darkness. The others reacted to his arrival with excitement. One more awakened to fight with them was already a good thing, but this one in particular looked especially imposing. His onyx armor, dude, this is so fucking hype. Dude, I think this is Sunny's like fucking biggest like kahungas Big aura moment, bro. Like, this shit is, I feel it. This is good. His onyx armor and fearsome blade were obviously a cut above the memories they themselves had in their possession, and his calm demeanor suggested either an experienced fighter or a madman. And then someone recognized him. Wait. Oh, they recognized him. Wait, isn't that MONGREL? The others looked at him, who spoke with confusion. Who? She stared at them with wide eyes. That's Lord MONGREL. Haven't you heard of him? Oh my god. They're fucking fans, dude. A hint of recognition appeared in the eyes of the Awakened, gathered in front of the open gate. One of them glanced at Sunny, lingered for a moment, and asked, I am sorry, friend. This young woman seems to have heard of you. If I must ask, are you an Awakened or some renown? Sunny didn't move a muscle and lied almost on autopilot. I am not an Awakened. I have no renown. The man raised an eyebrow. What do you mean you're not an Awakened? Then who are you? Sunny cursed inwardly. My damn tongue. Yeah, it's true. He's technically not an Awakened. My damn tongue. He gritted his teeth, remained silent for a second, and then answered in a calm tone. I am just a human. Then he sighed and turned his head slightly, staring at the 6 Awakened. From the looks of their memories and how they held themselves, they were an elite. Several seemed to know how to hold a sword, but that was all. Oh, they're inexperienced. They were going to get eaten alive once the gate opened, disheartened and asked combat aspects. The defenders looked at each other, and then the girl who had recognized him answered, I have an Awakened aspect that enhances my agility and allows me to strike with deadly precision. 2 guys have dormant aspects centered around endurance and strength, and the other 2 can perform range elemental attacks. So 3 weak combat aspects, 2 supporting fighters, and no one capable of proper support or healing. He lowered his head for a moment. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm scared. What was that? Night Sunny aura farms much better than Sung Jingwu. Bro, are you... Bro, hey, chill. I read Solo Leveling for like 3 years, and that was Aura. Like Aura was his middle name. Sunny feels earned, and he actually struggles, but still appears cool, whereas others feel is always ahead of the curve and just farms. Okay, all right, I see that. Like, okay, like he doesn't just have aura. Okay, like he's earned it. Lies, they're all lies. No, he's geeky. Sunny is an Awakened after returning from the Forgotten Shore. Imagining only having a dormant aspect, so it's GG. There were only 30 seconds left before the gate opened. Slight tremors running through the ground beneath his feet, and bits of dust and small pieces of gravel were slowly rising into the air, levitating on the invisible currents of energy coursing through the air. How am I going to do this? I feel like he should at least split the long-range people, right? Sunny gritted the hilt of the Soul Serpent tighter and said hoarsely, Stay back, kill anything that gets past me. He paused for a moment and then added, Make them bleed. The girl stared at him with wide eyes. Stay back. But sir, you can't do it alone. There will be a horde of them. Even if there were 100 of you, that wouldn't be enough to kill them all. Sunny turned away and looked at the slowly opening rift in front of him. How could he get these people to stay out of his way? The best place for them was at the back, finishing off anything that Sunny failed to kill and preventing the nightmare creatures from escaping into the city. Escaping towards Rain School, failing to come up with a better lie, he opened his mouth and said coldly, One of me is enough to kill them all. With that, Sunny let the girl standing there with an open mouth and walked forward. What's the big deal anyways? It's just a nightmare gate. Oh my god. His legs, however, were trembling a little. Just at that moment, especially strong tremor ran through the ground. Here they are. The shadows exploded and the mad dance, the sunlight growing dim and ghostly. The wind howled through the empty streets. Wow, what is this setting, bro? What is this scene? The wind howled through the empty streets as the air was being sucked into the winding's rifts, and then an invisible shockwave spread it out of the gate, making the windows in the surrounding building shatter. Wow! Too much aura. Dude, I'm getting goosebumps. This is good, dude. What the fuck, bro? The world building. The scene, bro. I think this is where, like, Guilty 3 is, like, actually getting better as a writer. Like, he's able to set the scene, and it's hitting even more now compared to before. Like, I feel like he's leveled up a little bit here, you know, if I'm just being a little honest. I'm saying before is bad. I'm just saying he's getting better and better. And then an invisible shockwave spread out, making the windows in the surrounding building shatter. Sunny resisted the push and suddenly felt the familiar feeling permeated his soul. The call of a gate. The gate has opened. You're hyped now. You'll be unbelievably hyped later. Hey, dude. Chill. I'm getting a little too excited. First wave. This is like first of like fucking 100 waves, huh? Here we go, dude. First wave. Chapter 487. All right, there you go. Now we're recording. We're good. Chapter 487. I'm doing really good, man. I'm fucking pumped up. Chapter 487 is called First Wave. I'm getting chills. Sunny took a step forward and brandished the soul serpent, feeling the indomitable nature of the saint's grounded battle style permeate his bones. The gloomy shadow wrapped itself around the blade of the Odachi, causing it to shine with dark radiance. Just like that, the taciturn demon, this serpent sharped a kinship with his shadow, and as much as the augmentation it received was even more powerful than Sunny himself could enjoy. Even though the Odachi was only one of the dormant ranks for now, this alone made it equal to an awakened blade in terms of sharpness, durability, and lethality. Oh my god. He activated the Living Stone and Feather of Truth enchantments of the Onyx armor to make it the light as a feather and able to heal the damage it was bound to receive. Then Sunny summoned the Blood Blossom Charm and wielded the armor to integrate it, activating the Underworld Armament enchantment. This way, the enhancing effects of the Crimson Flower had on his memories and shadows is going to be inherited by the mantle itself. And then, wait, let me reread this. There's a lot of layers to activating these things. Hold up. So he activated Living Stone and the Feather of Truth enchantments of the Onyx armor to make it as light as a feather and able to heal the damage it was bound to receive. Okay, that makes sense. Then Sunny summoned the Blood Blossom Charm and wielded the armor to integrate it, activating the Underworld Armament enchantment. This way, the enchanting effects of the Crimson Flower had on his memories and shadows was going to be inherited by the mantle itself, and then strengthened even further. He had not told the other Awakened to make the nightmare creatures bleed just to see them cool. Oh yeah, it's duh. I was like, I thought he was like, make them bleed. But yeah, that's part of it. He literally needed there to be as much blood flowing to the pavement as possible so that his armor and sword became as powerful as possible. That is true. I forgot about that. The gate was open now, revealing a dark rift in the fabric of reality, as wide as the street itself and as tall as the buildings. It seemed to devour... I'm sorry, that's a big-ass gate. I thought it was like a 5-6 foot gate, but it's huge. It was as wide as the street itself and as tall as the buildings. It seemed to devour all light around it and called for him to enter. Sunny wasn't too preoccupied with the gate itself though. His gaze was locked on the unclear silhouettes moving through the darkness. Soon the first wave nightmare creatures burst into daylight, leaving cracks of asphalt with its black claws. Good. He had not wanted to accumulate shadow fragments. Had he not wanted to raise the counter of the Prince of the Underworld enchantment, well, he would have been careful about what he wished for. There was going to be hundreds of abominations coming through the rift today to satiate his wish. Oh no, I'm calling it. He's going to get the remaining 400 and he's going to level up at like the worst possible moment. I already know it. I don't like this setup. The second category gates were the most frequent to appear in the waking world. As such, everyone was familiar with how they functioned. The first few waves of advancing nightmare creatures were not going to be too terrible, at least for a fighter of Sunny's caliber. They would be composed mostly of dormant creatures with some awakened abominations mixed in. Their classes and numbers too would be comparatively low, but these first few waves, there was just a hint of horror to come. Oh my god. Pretty soon, every nightmare creature coming from the gate was going to be awakened rank, with more and more fallen, one appearing as well. Their classes were going to rise until there were as many demons as there were monsters and beasts around. As if Sunny were still alive by the time this second stage was nearing its culmination, well, two things could happen, neither promising him anything good. Either the gate was going to end up really being of the second category or not. If it continued to grow, reaching the third category, there would be more and more waves of nightmare creatures, hundreds of fallen abominations lunging into the real world from the dark void between worlds, with corrupted horrors and creatures of higher classes appearing among them. If it didn't, then the Guardian of the Gate would manifest itself into reality. The Guardian was always at least one rank higher of the Gate's category and could be of any high class, from a devil to a dreaded titan. There's no way we're going to be fighting one of those anytime soon, right? Further discussion might be hinting at spoiler. Okay. In any case, thank you. In any case, Sunny had to live through the initial wave first to find out what was going to kill him in the end. The first creature to appear from the darkness resembled a terrifying hound with blooded bones, spikes growing from its mottled black fur. It landed on the road and opened its mouth, and then protruded a grunting hoarse roar, and then abruptly grew silent as the Shadow Serpent's blade slashed across its neck, severing its head entirely. He fucking did it just like that. He's come such a long way. From like literally just strangling the larvae in his first nightmare, he's come a long way. You have slain a dormant beast. Sunny jumped back, and just as he did, more silhouettes lunged at him from the dark rift, their eyes burning with madness and bloodthirst as they smelled what was waiting for them up ahead. A whole world full of defenseless, untainted souls for them to devour. Not so fast, you filth. Sunny had a very simple plan. He was going to build a barrier in front of the gate. He was going to build a barrier of, like, bodies, right? That way it's harder for them to come out. He was going to build a mountain of bleeding corpses right at the border of the darkness to show the next wave of nightmare creatures how welcoming the real world was to their kind. As soon as more spiked hounds entered into the light, he lunged forward to meet them. Blood sprayed into the air, and the menacing Odachi reaped another life. Sunny shifted his weight, slammed the palm of the sword into the face of a lunging creature. Wow. Wow. What do I remember? I remember everything. What do you mean? Fuck. Sunny... Oh, I'm not going to say it. Sunny I didn't lose my place. Sunny shifted his weight, slammed the palm of the sword into the face of a lunging creature, then swiftly stepped forward and pierced the third one through the throat. Fuck. Before the drops of blood even fell to the ground, he tore the blade from the corpse of the abomination, slicing it almost in half, and brought his heel of the skull to the beast he had previously slammed to the ground. In the process, he increased the weight of the mantle of the underworld, so that the creature's head simply exploded under his boot. All of it took no more than 2 seconds, and the third second, a dozen hellish beasts emerged from the rift, some of them running, some of them jumping higher into the air to land on him from above. Behind them, a mockery wall of flesh, claws, and fangs were spilling out of the darkness like a rabid tide. Sunny growled, feeling the enchantment of the blood blossom activate, and fill his sword with an unquenchable bloodlust. Come, you bastards, let this mongrel guide you all to hell. Aura. I got a tear in my eye. That is so fucking hype, dude. Easy Geeky, remember something? I always remember everything. And if I forget anything, it's purely engagement bait, and you guys just fall for it. Obviously. I don't actually forget. I got like a 5,000 IQ, you know? Chapter 488, A Beast More Terrible. Oh, no. Don't use those. You don't use Discord? Join the Discord. Join the Discord. It's fun. We're always chilling, hanging out. Chapter 488 is called A Beast More Terrible. No matter how fast Sunny was, how intricate his control of the Shadow Essence was, he had spent a whole month doing nothing but practicing it. After all, no matter how strong his body could become, as a result, he couldn't be in several places at the same time. And kind of put myself in the middle. Yes, he had 2 cores brimming with power, and his armor and his weapons augmented by the combination of an aspect ability and enhancements. Killing one of the infernal hounds without receiving a hint was not that big of a problem, several even. But a dozen, that was too much even for him, so Sunny didn't even try it. At this point, Mantle of the Underworld was as close to the pinnacle of the ascended rank as a memory could be, so the dormant beasts had no chance of piercing it with their fangs. He could allow himself to be bitten a few times, he just had to be strategic about it. He had to protect his neck and the back of his head, as well as pay attention to the balance and mass. Yes, the abominations couldn't get to his flesh just yet, but the impact was still an impact. If he wasn't careful, the bastards were going to topple him, and once he was on the ground, the game would be over. Luckily, he had Feather of Truth at his disposal and could manipulate the weight of the onyx armor, turning it from incredibly light to as heavy as a mountain. In conjecture with the cautious use of Saint's ground style, which excelled at solid footwork and indomitability, he could stay upright no matter how many beasts attacked him. Ignoring the creatures that were just lunging at him from the ground, Sunny dashed to the side to avoid being landed one by one, jumping hounds and receiving another one on the tip of the Odachi, allowing the momentum to impale it on the sword. Before the heavy carcass could weigh the Shadow Serpent down, Sunny used the long hilt as a lever and slammed the dead creature into the mass of his attacking kin. By that time, one jaw was already closing on his thigh, and another was centimeters away from the forearm. That's not good. The blood-red fangs scraped against the stone-like metal of the onyx armor, not leaving even a scratch on it. Sunny let go of the hilt of the Odachi with one hand, then hooked it to the blade under the throat of the attacking abominations, and made a simple move forward, slicing through the tough fur, skin, and vulnerable flesh beneath. His other fist landed on the head of the second beast, unseen to anyone. The moonlight shard appeared in it at the last moment, its ghostly blade easily piercing the creature's skull and disappearing as fast as it had appeared after destroying its brain. Sunny spun, throwing both corpses aside, caught the hilt of the Odachi with the second hand. Wait, and then he caught it with this. Oh, he caught it with the second hand after the spin. Okay. with his second hand, made a small thrust to pierce the lunging hound's head right through one of its eyes, and then dashed forward to descend to the group of them entangled in the carcass of the abomination he had caught on the tip of his blade earlier. What happened next could only be described as a morbid blood dance. Sunny moved through the mass of nightmare creatures much faster than any one of them were, his greatsword flying through them with a graceful and fluid logic, sending more and more blood spraying into the air. Something he managed to avoid most of their attacks, and those he did not ended up sliding fruitfully from his armor. He almost made it look easy. He did make it look easy, but of course it wasn't. Any of these beasts, even though they were only dormant, could massacre countless mundane humans or kill a less skilled awakened in one fell lunge. It was just that today they met a far more terrifying creature, a true awakened fighter. And a monstrous one at that. And I'm calling it. I don't think he's going to be awakened after this encounter. I think he's going to get the remaining 400 or so fragments he needs to eventually get his third core. That's what I'm thinking this is leading to, depending on how many come in. Sunny cut through the mass of spiked hounds, strategically leaving many of them maimed, but alive. They could only bleed as long as they weren't dead. After all, he needed them to bleed a lot to bring the blood blossom to peak of its strength. There were many of them around him, too many really, but that too could be used to his advantage. He used the corpses of the beasts he had slain and the ones he had left alive, and those were yet to meet his blade as a barrier to slow down the others. Through superior speed and clever positioning, he was able to not only always remain moving, but also evade being surrounded. Things weren't exactly easy, but he was still managing without too much strain. His main problem right now was to not allow any of these abominations to move past him and escape into the streets. Luckily, the few that did manage to slip by were quickly finished by the 6 awakened staying behind, observing the massacre with grim, tense, and darkly odd expressions. He'll still be awakened. Oh, isn't it? Oh, no, I lied. He has a core. He won't be able to send awakened until he conquers the second nightmare. My bad. But he'll get his third core. Yeah. He's already awakened. When he asked, he had to lie because of his mask. Yeah. Alma, you continue and I'm going to time you out. Is this the... It is Expedition 33. Luckily, the few that did manage to slip by were quickly finished by the 6 awakened staying behind, observing the massacre with grim, tense, and darkly odd expression. However, Sunny wasn't oblivious to the fact that this successful start was an illusion. The first wave was just an appetizer, after all, simply a hint of the truly calamity to come. So his goal for now was to kill as many dormant beasts as he could, bring the augmentation of the blood blossom to the considerable strength, and throw as many corpses at the stretch of the cracked asphalt directly in front of the gate as possible to make it harder for the stronger abominations to enter into the real world at full speed. He felt the dreaded change too soon, though. It came in the form of an eerie long whistle that suddenly made the hounds lunge at him with renowned fury, and then a crud arrow suddenly flashed. An arrow? They have weapons? Wait, what? A crude arrow suddenly flashed out of the darkness of the rift, almost hitting him in the eye. The arrowhead, fashioned out of a splinter of red bone, exploded against the wood of Weaver's mask, throwing his head back. What the? He swiftly repositioned and caught his balance, and then dashed forward and skewered several beasts on the blade of the Shadow Serpent. More arrows flew out of the darkness, piercing the flesh of the attacking hounds, or sliding off the onyx surface of the mantle of the underworld. Oh, so this is a harder opponent. He felt each hit, though. The power behind these arrows was truly monstrous. Awakened creatures are coming already. As soon as he thought that, the first of the hunters came out of the darkness, following their hounds into the real world. Sunny grit his teeth. A tall, desecrated humanoid with skin as black as coal and as rough as the bark of an ancient tree, wearing rotten remains of fur armor, raised a mighty bow made out of wood and bone, and looked at him with empty holes where his eyes should have been. Furious red flames burned into darkness instead. Crap. Sunny grabbed one of the hounds and hoisted its body up, just in time for the arrow to pierce its body instead of hitting him in the face. Bows are using bows. How was that even fair? Feeling the bloodlust of Blossom charge surge in his heart, Sunny threw the dying hound at the bound of the bone hunter, gripped his sword, and dashed forward once again. This is so crazy. Oh my god. This is so good. This is so good. I know the Black Knight had like a sword back on the Forgotten Shore, but this is the first time they're using like long range weapons, right? Like arrows, right? Like all the carapace creatures we fought, they had like claws, right? Like crab-like claws. The Dark Knight had a sword, and this one has like a bow. I think that's the first time we've seen one, at least with long range weapons. Okay, next chapter. Chapter 489. Oh my god, did I do my timestamp? Yeah, I did do my timestamp. Here we go. Chapter 489 is called Second Wave. There were several ancient archers aiming at him already, and more of the hunters were appearing from the darkness. Some wielded bows, some spears with jagged flint blades and crude axes. Those were awakened monsters, each and every one, equal in rank and class to the Carapace Centurion Sunny had fought once a long time ago on the Forgotten Shore, and he's fighting multiple of them. That's crazy. And to Sunny himself, technically, a much tougher enemy for him to slaughter. Luckily, unlike the massive Centurions, the hunters weren't covered in adamantine chitin from head to toe, so it'd be easier to kill them. Okay, good. Ducking under the flying arrow, Sunny lunged forward and thrust the tip of the Odachi into the desiccated flesh of one of the bowmen. The black bark-like skin offered a lot of resistance to the shadow-honed blade. Doesn't cut through? But the force of the blow was terrible enough to rip through the flesh and bone. Okay, good. Allowing it to pierce the body of the hunter and emerge from his back. Sunny just hoped that because the bastards had anatomy similar to humans and that their hearts were located in the same place. From the looks of it, they were, however, the monster did not react to having his heart destroyed as the human would. Instead of dying, he simply grabbed the blade of the shadow serpent and took a step forward, skewering himself deeper onto it in an attempt to reach Sunny with the other hand. Curses. Wow, that is crazy. Yo, take care, man. We'll see you soon. Curses. Sunny twisted the blade, severing the monster's fingers, and then pulled the Odachi upward, slicing through his ribcage, neck, and skull. This finally caused the bowman to die. You have slain an awakened monster, Ancient Barrow Wrath. Okay, so go for the head. Revenant's great, simply great, damn it. That's good. So he was fighting corpses that were possessed by some sort of murderous spirit. As such, we need to kill the one that's controlling them. As such, the hunters were fully sentient. They didn't stop them from remembering some of their crafts, though. Not only were they able to wield their stone weapons with deadly skills, they also seemed to coordinate their attacks, herding Sunny like prey. The archers moved apart, so he had no choice but to show his back to one while attacking another. Those with melee weapons rushed forward, aiming to surround him. The situation was quickly turning desperate. Sunny gritted his teeth, dodged a strike of a stone axe, saw it shatter the asphalt into dust, and lash out with a shadow serpent. Just a moment after the blade of the great Odachi served as the attacker's legs, another arrow hit him on the shoulder, causing Sunny to stagger and almost lose his balance. He glanced around him, noticing that enemies had succeeded in positioning themselves in a way that would have doomed a normal enemy. He was surrounded from all sides with archers hiding behind mighty hunters wielding spears and axes. What is he gonna do? I feel like he needs to summon the Saint, right? I feel like that's what's going to happen. Damn it, I didn't want to do this. As he does it, here we go. As a dozen arrows streaked through the air to bite his armor, Sunny suddenly disappeared. A moment later, he appeared behind one of the archers and decimated him with only one terrible strike. Before the others even had time to register what had happened, Sunny was inexplicably at the opposite side of their formation. His Odachi piercing... He used Shadow Step, right? His Odachi piercing the head of another archer, almost leaving after images behind. The figure of the warrior in the menacing onyx armor seemed to blink twice, half a dozen monsters in the span of a few seconds. Each time it appeared, one of the creatures died, their black bodies crumbling into piles of severed limbs and shattered skulls. Their blade of the great Odachi shone with dark radiance, cutting through the ancient hunter like a reaper's scythe. A few moments later, Sunny slid backwards on the broken asphalt, leaving a bloody trail behind. A low growl escaped from beneath his mask. My god. Enhanced by the underworld armament, the enchantment of the Blood Blossom was behaving strangely. It was supposed to augment his memories, echoes, and shadows, but with so much blood flowing to the ground, Sunny found that even his body and mind were being affected by the Mordid charm a little. It's enhancing more? So like now he's like on a blood rush. Like now that like it's getting to his head, right? He felt both exhilarated and frustrated. Exhilarated by the slaughter he was perpetrating, and frustrated because he needed to kill more, cut more, make them bleed more, so much more. Blood, more. What the fuck? That's insane. That is crazy. So like now he's going like, he's like getting enraged, right? Sunny based in the ecstasy of bloodshed for a split second and then lashed out himself, making the rabid thirst recede. So it's like he went berserk. He needed to be careful. The bloodlust was beneficial but could easily blind him. He had to maintain clarity. That was the only way to control the flow of the battle to survive. Thankfully, he knew how to keep a cool head better than most. Regardless, although using Shadow Step so many times in rapid succession cost him a lot of Shadow Essence, he had managed to break the enemy formation and eliminate most of the archers. The rest were going to be much easier to deal with. But of course, the gate was not done with him. It continued to spew more and more enemies, making any progress he had made meaningless. That's so fucked up. As a new wave of hunters emerged from the darkness, a frenzied mass of hounds rushed between the wraiths. He had paled a little. Too many. No, dude, just bring out the Saint. I feel like we have to, right? Too many. No matter how superior his armor weapon skills were, he was going to get buried under the tide of nightmare creatures due to their momentum. And even if he managed to cut a hole in the wall of the abominations, the rest were going to move past him and descend upon the Six Awakened, and then inevitably escape into the streets of the city towards Rain School. Damn, this is going to suck. As a new wave of creatures lunged forward, joining the survivors of the previous one, Sunny shifted his memories around. For a brief second, the Broken Oath took the place of the Blood Blossom. I don't remember what Broken Oath does. Its soul-eroding aura being inherited and enhanced by the mental of the underworld. A wave of nausea washed other Sunny's mind. A mental scream rang in the head. Okay, I think I remember. Luckily, he was prepared for the pain. His armor provided him with a solid defense against soul attacks, true. And even ones coming from the mantle itself, the attacking nightmare creature, on the other hand, had no resistance to it at all. Then he had only kept the Broken Oath active for a second before changing the slot charm back to the Blood Blossom, but it was enough to break the moment of Tidal Abominations. This guy plays fucking ARPGs, bro. This dude is like playing ARPGs. Like, this guy plays fucking Path of Exile 2. When you're like in between fights, or like you're fucking playing another game, you gotta like switch skills. You gotta like quickly swap out charms. That's literally what he's doing. This dude is pulling like a gamer move, bro. The hunter staggered, the hound stumbled and slowed down. For a brief moment, the whole mass of monsters seemed disoriented. Sunny used this opportunity well. The dark figure wearing a fearsome mask suddenly appeared in the very middle of the enemies, and before the nightmare creatures could regain their bearings, the great blade of the Odachi turned into a whirlwind of darkness, leaving clouds of bloody mist and several corpses everywhere where he went. Sunny had, an abandoned Saint ground style, reduced the weight of the mantle of the underworld to that of a feather, and turned to pure offense, dancing between enemies like a dark, slaughtering demon. For now, he was still at his peak. Oh my god, he's at his peak. But exhaustion was already not too far behind. As he fought, his breath was slowly becoming hoarse and labored. How long has it been? He thought back. I imagine it's been like fucking 5 minutes. He thought back to what had happened until now and felt for the first hint of desperation. Just a couple of minutes. The whole battle took slightly more than 2 fucking minutes? It's been 2 minutes? The whole battle took slightly more than 2 minutes as he continued for at least 11 more. Oh, he had to continue for 11 more. And that's like best case scenario, right? Like a really good reinforcements show up in 11 minutes. Oh my goodness. Chapter 490 is called Breakpoint, okay? It's to peak, it is peak. 6 minutes. That was how long Sunny managed to hold on until things really went from bad to terrible. By then, the ground in front of the gate was littered with we jumped 4 minutes. By then, the ground in front of the gate was littered with piles of corpses, their blood flowing down the pavement like a crimson stream. He had lost count of how many dormant abominations he had slain, how many ancient hunters he had sliced apart. Despite how strong and fearsome the primeval wraiths were, their assault had broken against the impenetrable barrier of his blade, aspect, and his will. Sunny paid a price, though. By now, his muscles were burning, and he had to force the air in and out of his struggling lungs. The mantle of the underworld held, but his body beneath, the black stone-like metal, was beaten and battered. The armor itself was covered in blood and dented slightly in several places. Those dents did not come from the hunters, though. During the third wave, new nightmare creatures emerged from the darkness of the gate. Among them were larger beasts, more terrifying than the hounds Sunny had been slaughtering, and their masters. The demons of the mysterious burrow were similar to the desiccated huntsmen, but much taller, stronger, and better equipped. Oh, that's not good. They wielded masterfully crafted flint weapons and armor made out of rotten leather and bone, their empty eyes burning with hungry red flames. Yo, these creatures are like leveling up. Like, these are more they're more like thorough, like with weapons and gear and all that shit. What's worse, they really knew how to use their stone spears and swords. Met with strange, ferocious, and deviously leather battle style of the primeval demons, Sunny was sent for a loop. This was like nothing he had ever experienced before. They fought with straightforward yet insidious resolve of cunning apex predators with the evil will to keep through any means necessary, always flowing the most efficient and barbarous like I feel like it's like a barbarian, barbarously cruel path of dominance. It should not have worked, but it did. The dents on Sunny's armory could attest to it. Well, he shouldn't have been surprised if these ancient raves came from people similar to his own world's prehistoric humans. Then they were the most devastating of predators, ruthless killers on a planetary scale. From what little Sunny knew about history, ancient humans had spread across the whole planet like a plague, eviscerating whole types of living creatures, including all other nascent branches of the humankind. In one fell avalanche with their flint weapons and a knowledge of fire, they became nothing less than the cause of perpetrators of the sixth mass extinction. Equal to that, the likes of mass asteroids and climates shifted despite their puny size of lifespan. He was kind of starting to miss the Carapace Legion. Like he's starting to miss the Forgotten Shore. In any case, Sunny somehow managed to kill these terrifying fighters, a few of them at least two. More than that, he reached into the very essence of Shadow Dance and greedily absorbed every nuance of their primeval and ferocious fighting style, and then reflected it back of the waves the nightmare creature, bringing his already terrifying dance of death to a truly chilling level of brutality. There is no way he doesn't, like, conquer the next tier of his, like, dance, right? Like, he has to at least unlock his second one. The Blood Blossom had long ago reached its limit. Minutes passed, and despite the fact the Senate was battered and growing dangerously tired, his reserves of Shadow Essence swingingly diminished for a few moments. He felt as though he had things under control. That maybe, just maybe, he was going to stand his ground for the whole 13 minutes, and then he realized that he would not. What the fuck is going to happen? As the 6th minute came to an end, a ferocious bellow shook the ground and something massive lunged at him from the darkness of the gate. The barrier of corpses he had built in front of the exploded... Oh my god. All for naught. The barrier of corpses he had built in front of it exploded, and a giant beast twice as tall as Sunny and weighing at least 20 times more emerged from it in a cloud of blood and bone fragments. Two empty eye sockets full of ghostly red flames. Sunny stared at it with wide eyes. The creature resembled a giant bison, its black fur molted and rotted, a ridge of long scarlet bone spikes. Wow. Wow! Piercing the hide along the spine, and then the head of the monstrosity was crowned with two jagged blooded horns. Is this like the king? Right? Because he's wearing a crown. Then the head of the monstrosity was crowned with two jagged blooded horns. A fallen. That thing is a fallen. Oh, fuck. That bison was also different from the hounds and larger beasts he had been fighting against, since it, just like the ancient hunters, itself was a wraith, the corpse reanimated by the malevolent spirit of the red flame crap. Sunny hurriedly commanded the Feather of Truth to make his armor as heavy as possible, and lowered his stance, knowing full well that he could allow that thing to get past him. And the next moment, 2,000 kilograms of rotting flesh and sharp horns crashed into him at full speed. Crap. For a split second, everything became dark, then suddenly found himself bouncing. Oh, he bounced. It actually moved him. Then Sunny found himself bouncing off the asphalt and then rolling across at terrible speed, up until the moment the wall of the building stopped him and exploded. Shards of cement flying into the air, not good. Disoriented, he shook his head, feeling a drop of blood seep under the weave masks, and then used the Shadow Serpent to help him stand up. Then he looks towards the gate through the red mist clouding his sight. The massive wraith was approaching the 6th terrifying awakened. Its speed, however, was slow, and its steps staggered. There was a big hole in its forehead where the thick adamantine bones of the skull were shattered, and cracks, bits of its bloody pulp splitting out of it and falling to the ground. We're almost going to kill it then. Was the onyx armor that strong? Like it wounded him that much on the crash? Just before the impact, Sunny had brought... Oh, wait, hold up. Just before impact, Sunny had brought his armored fist down on it, summoning the Moonlight Shard at the last moment. Instantaneous summoning, okay? His plan was to pierce that big bastard's brain, but because of the violent force of the momentum of their collision, he ended up doing that and then punctured a hole through the creature's forehead with his spiked gauntlet. Sunny's thoughts were slow and astray, but he was already starting to regain his senses. I have a concussion, I think. Failing to breach the last few meters to the 6th awakened, the bison stopped and swayed, Its legs suddenly caved and it toppled over, sending a tremor running through his ground. A flood, oh my god, a flood of abominations was already rushing into the breach it had created, though. In an empty space where Sunny had been, still disoriented, Sunny staggered, then raised the soul serpent weakly. Bad. This is really, really bad. Oh my god, that's a lot. This is bad. I said Brad. This is really, really bad. This is really, really bad. Yet, yet for me, I'm just like, for me, 1 kilogram is 2 pounds. I know it's like 1 point something or like 2 point something, 2.4 or whatever. So I was like 2,000 kilograms, 4,000 pounds, right? But it was 4,400 pounds. Thank you, Alma. If Sunny of today could see the Sunny of the past, wait, that's not a spoiler. You don't have to delete that comment. I know you're just saying he just gets really strong. I don't know how strong, but I guess he's gonna get strong. No, I don't think that's a spoiler. No, it's okay, Alma. But I know you're just saying like it's like I know he's not gonna be at this same strength in the next 2,500 chapters. But okay, don't worry, it's not a spoiler. I'm okay. Chapter 491. It's called Desperate Measures. As nightmare creatures rushed forward, the 6 awakened began to act. The 2 with elemental aspects attacked first, something flashed in the air, and then one of them was suddenly surrounded by a swiftly spinning ring of fire. The first disc that flew floored and collided against the massive abominations, immolating one of the hounds and burning several more. The other raised her head, and a thin blade made of nothing but air whistled as if bit into the flesh of one of the hunters, severing one of its arms and shoulders. Sunny blinked. You have slain a fallen monster. Wait, it counted for him? The fastest of the nightmare creatures were already lunging at the defenders. The girl he had spoken to before took a step forward and attacked with a slender saber, striking at the neck of a spiked hound and opening its artery with a pierced cut. 2 more awakened were covering her from side to side, both wielding a shield and a memory weapon of their own. One a short sword and the other a steel pike. The last one did not something to repel the arrows that were already flying towards their bodies, but Sunny had no idea what. Your shadow grows stronger. The awakened were performing well. They acted with sufficient coordination and foresight, doing everything in their power to slow down the tide of approaching monsters. Although not elites, each of them were capable combatants. They were brave and determined, and yet it was not going to be enough. That's insane. They're that well coordinated, and they still won't be able to do it. And yet it was not going to be enough, not nearly enough to survive, let alone prevent the invaders from escaping into the city. You have received the memory. What to do. Not fully realizing what he was doing, Sunny commanded the shadow to wrap itself around his body and for the soul serpent to slither back onto his skin. Oh, so he can recover his soul essence. Immediately, he felt much more powerful, his head more clear, his muscles brimmed with raw strength, doubled what he had just a second ago. His breathing became deeper. Sunny knew that he had to slow the abominations down and then get back into the fight. That was the only way. Making a step forward, he sweated a little and then grabbed the roof of the abandoned PTV to help himself keep balance. Bending down, he had grabbed the bottom of the heavy alloy vehicle with his other hand. It's insane that he's this strong, but he's also handicapping himself, right? Like, he is really, really strong. He's wearing Weaver's mask. He's using the Odachi, and now he's enhancing his body, right? But it's like insane. He's still like purposefully handicapping himself and not summoning the saint or using his other memories just so people can pick up on who he is. Not under the mod's watchful gaze. The chat have a civil war and I lost this shit. Sending all of his essence rushing through his body, flooding it with as much strength as he could muster. He then growled and dug into the alloy with his fingers, and then sending cracks through the asphalt. Sunny strained every muscle in his body to perform one devastating and explosive push. The window of the PTV exploded, and its frame deformed. The whole vehicle suddenly flowed into the air. It breached the distance between him and then rushed tight of the nightmare creature and crashed into it from the side like a bizarre cannonball, turning several dormant beasts into bloody popes, breaking numerous bones, and sending most of the front... This is such a good arc, bro. This is a good fight. Breaking numerous bones and sending most of the front row of abominations tumbling down. The runes shimmered in front of Sunny, and with no time to waste, he threw just one look at them, searching for the description of his new memory. He was only interested in one thing: memory-type weapon. Good enough. Not bothering with reading the rest, Sunny summoned the weapon and... Oh, he just summoned it without seeing what it was. Good enough. Not bothering with reading the rest, and he summoned the weapon and used its shadow step to appear amid the reeling abominations. Some have avoided his improvised ram and were already either attacking the 6 awakened or escaping into the streets. He couldn't do anything about it now. What he could do, though, as an ancient spear with a head crafted out of a long and sharp piece of black obsidian materialized in his hand, he thrust it into the throat of one of the wraiths and then used its back end to slam it at another one in the chest. So he went, huh, huh. Oh, wow. That's crazy. Then Sunny spun the spear and brought it down on the head of the lunging hound, shattering its skull with one terrifying blow. While he tried to overcome the ringing in his ear and continued to fight, more nightmare creatures got past him, and more still were emerging from the gate. Die, 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 you damn wretches, die faster. They breached the line of defenders. The voice of the headmaster seemed calm considering the situation, so the children gathered in the combat training hall of the school didn't panic either. Nevertheless, they could feel that the adults were frightened and that the fear spread like an infection. The children were frightened too. Oh no. For many of the younger kids, this was the first time they experienced being near an opening gate. Those who were older knew what to do in theory, only none of them things could be done. There were just enough time to evacuate or reach the nearest shelter, and so the lessons they had learned were useless. Everyone was gathered in the most protected place in the school, the gymnasium, and huddled together. The younger children were placed in the middle of the older ones near the edge, where their teachers standing in the furthest from the center. The combat instructors were armed with the actual memory weapons, which looked menacing but beautiful, at least to Rain, who had never seen her teacher wield one of his weapons before. With him, the other instructors and a couple of bodyguards happened to be inside of the school because of those children whose parents were really important. There were 5 awakened among them, each armed and ready to fight. Oh, that's good. The other teachers and older students were armed too, albeit with mundane weapons. Rain herself was holding her training sword, realizing for the first time how flimsy and pathetic it was. Before, the sword had always seemed to weigh a ton, but unnecessarily sharp. Now she wished that it was a real weapon and not just a training one. Would you be interested in another Dunquad by the same studio which made Lord of the Mysteries? Yeah, of course. I know I am going to start that, it's like a sci-fi horror Dunghua that's airing this summer. I know a lot of people were talking about it, so I'll probably watch that too. But yeah, I'm pretty sure. I've watched Kings of Avatar. That's the only work I've ever seen by the same studio, and I loved it, by the way. It was so good. What is going to happen, because she happened to be standing near the headmaster, she saw her combat instructor glance at him and say something in a low voice. And by the way, that's the only Dunghua I've ever watched. The King's Avatar. And coincidentally, it's by the same studio that made Lord of the Mysteries. Rain wasn't supposed to hear it, most likely, but he said, it's a miracle that I scroll down too much. It's a miracle that they held that long, really. Only 7 of them. I don't know who these people are, but they should have been overwhelmed in the first minute. Overwhelmed, but if 7 awakened were supposed to die in less than a minute, then what about the 5 protecting us? Rain suddenly felt cold and scared. The whole thing didn't seem real. How could something like this happen? The school was so prestigious and expensive, and so many important people sent their children here. Surely their defenses, as if answering her thoughts, muffled sounds of firing penetrated the walls and sent shivers running through everybody's bodies. The automatic turrets had gone online, which meant that there were nightmare creatures approaching. Oh my goodness. Rain's father worked for the government, handling the matters having to do with the logistical support of the Awakened. And although he didn't like to talk about work, she knew more about... Oh my god, Rain's dad is going to know who Sunny is. I'll talk about that right now at the end of the chapter. There's no shot he wouldn't know. Rain's father worked for the government, handling matters to do with the logistical support of the Awakened, and although he didn't like to talk about work, she knew more about these matters than most kids of her age. Because of that, she understood how ineffective mundane weapons were against the creatures of the spell, especially one of higher ranks. So she just hoped that something broke with a defending crash, and the whole gymnasium suddenly trembled. Curses. Rain gripped the hilt of her sword tighter, and turning towards where the crash had come from with a pale face, her eyes widened. Oh my god, there's one here. Hundreds of meters away in the massed nightmare creature, Sunny sent another abomination to hell, threw its body away and growled. There were so many of them, too many. Through the shadow hiding beside Rain, he saw that those monsters had gotten past him, and the other defenders had reached the school. Oh my goodness, he's gonna have to change places with his shadow. He's gonna have to take it out. He also saw more and more creatures arriving through the grate, beasts, monsters, and demons. Demons, not demons. Not yet, but demons. Beasts, monsters, and demons, awakened and fallen, there were simply no end to them. And he was dead tired and growing weaker fast. His body was at its limit, his reserves of shadow essence were running dry, and even the mantle of the underworld was showing signs of straining to resist the never-ending rain of blows. he was not able to evade anymore. Feeling blood streaming down his face, Sunny briefly glanced towards the distant skull, then back at the gate. And then he shivered. Something had changed. Something was very wrong. In the darkness of the gate, oh my god, this is like the big bad guy, right? In the darkness, I'm gonna hide it just in case. I don't get mad at me. We've been fighting a fallen. We fought a fallen. I don't remember what's after fallen. I'm trying to remember. I know Titan is pinnacle. I can't remember ranks 4, 5, and 6. Wait. Oh, well, let's just keep reading. In the darkness of the gate, a new silhouette appeared. A moment later, all the beasts that surrounded him froze, and then howled triumphantly as if to welcome the new creature to the waking world. Oh my god. The gate. Oh shit, it's the guardian. I almost unplugged the power. I am moving my feet away. The gate's guardian has arrived. Oh my goodness. All right, I got 2 things to say before we read Gate Guardian. But one, I think he has to use the same. If we're gonna fight a Gate Guardian, corrupt, great. Well, shit, corrupt. Okay, if we're gonna fight the Guardian Gate or the Gate Guardian, I feel like he has to summon Satan, or he has to use something he's been concealing. And second of all, there is no shot Rain's dad that works for the government did not know that Rain had a sister called Sunless that he kept from her. He probably knows. He probably knew that when him and his wife adopted Rain, they probably heard like, hey, just so you know, she has an older brother called Rain, called Sunless. And they probably said, no, we don't want him. We only want the daughter. Or we only want a daughter. And they probably purposely left Sunless behind. So when at some point Rain is gonna mention the word Sunny, and she's like, Sunny? And like, oh shit, Sunless? And be like, what a fated coincidence. That's probably what's gonna happen. I might be completely wrong. Maybe I'm just fanficking over here. But chapter 492, W fanfic, I think that is a pretty good W fanfic. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it's just fanfic, but I can see something like that happening. Knowing how good the series is, and good with all the foreshadowing and build up and kind of like the twists and turns, I can see something like that happening. The chapter 492 is called Gate Garden. But yeah, by the way, thank you guys for like 90 people. It says 90 concurrent, but then it says 88 up there. So maybe it's gonna update. But thank you guys. Chapter 492 is called Gate Guardian. Sunny stared at the gate, momentarily paralyzed by dread. Then he snapped out of it and fought through the exhaustion, rushing to kill as many abominations as he could before the Guardian came out of the gate. He had an inkling that after that, there would not be an opportunity to pay them any attention. Is it the Guardian? How many minutes had been? He had no idea. Somewhere along the way, Sunny had lost count of time. All he had to do was that it had been long enough. Meanwhile, a hulking figure emerged from the darkness of the gate. As it did, the red flames burning in the empty eye sockets of the ancient race flashed brighter, their dead mouths opening to produce a litany of menacing howls. Crap. The Guardian was more than 4 meters tall, 4, 8, 12, 16 feet tall. The giant was wearing an intricate leather armor, much more... Wait, I skipped something? Where does it say how tall he was? Crap. The Guardian was more than 4 meters tall, his desiccated body resembling that of a primeval hunters and demons Sunny had fought, but at the same time, much more frightening. He wielded a long spear, its blade cut out of a single slab of obsidian and covered it in many stains of ancient dried blood, and it seemed as if the stone itself had absorbed them and turned dark red. The giant was wearing an intricate leather armor much more robust and imposing than those lesser race, with stripes of strange blushing iron woven on it. His... What the hell? Why is it... Oh no, my earbud broke. What? Oh. Look, it's like chipped. I didn't even realize it's chipped. The giant was wearing an intricate leather armor much more robust and imposing than those of the lesser race, with stripes of strange bluish iron woven onto it. His wrist bore dozens of bracelets made out of iron and bone, and on his shoulders was a cloak fashioned out of hide and some terrifying monster. The skull of the creature served as its helmet, and its face was covered with a disturbing burial mask, its features twisted and bestial. The mask and the skull on his head each had 3 eyes, all skull emitting intense, malevolent red radiance. Fallen is a rank, Alma. Fallen is a class, right? Oh, it's a rank. Got it. Sunny felt a cold shiver running down his spine. What? What is that thing? He didn't know what kind of creature the ancient chieftain was, but had no doubt that he was a He was a fallen tyrant, and a very powerful one at that. Maybe the barrow these wraiths were coming from had been built to entomb this ancient menace to begin with. Oh. And his mask had 3 eyes. Anything with 3 eyes made Sunny shudder. For some reason, he did not fully understand. After that, the Forgotten Shore, he knew that this was a sign of something too terrible for him to know. 3 eyes. Didn't, what had 3 eyes? When the giant octopus nightmare creature came out in the Forgotten Shore, when they were on the walking stone colossus in the ocean, it had a skeleton, and I think that skull had 3 eyes also, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. I think those are related in some way to like daemons. They're like daemons' offsprings or some shit like that. That's what I'm thinking. I might be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. That's why they're so scary. Anything with 3 eyes made Sunny shudder for reasons he did not fully understand. After Forgotten Shore, he knew that this was a sign of something too terrible for him to know. Could he kill a fallen tyrant? Maybe if he had a lot more time to prepare and study his enemy and attack from the shadow, but now with Sunny's exhausted and battered, his shadow essence running out, and hundreds of nightmare creatures surrounding their master and bloodthirsty exhilaration, he stood no chance, none at all. What's the record for viewers? It was like over 500. When Lord of the Mysteries, you're right, 1,000. Whoa, wow. I thought it was 500. Was it 1,000? I don't remember. We have to go back and check, but I think we passed 100. Well, maybe a very tiny one. And what else was he going to do other than try and fight, put his tail between his legs and run away? Well, sure, why the hell not? Sunny was not some kind of hero, nor had he ever wanted to be one, but he wasn't going to run away just yet. As the nightmare creature renewed their assault with even more frenzied rage than before, he gritted his teeth and brandished the obsidian spear, feeling the primal battle style of the ancient wraiths seep into his very bones. Sunny was not done spilling blood. He had a little bit of a fight left in him still. In the gymnasium, silence and fear gave way to the mayhem and panic. The walls of the school had just been breached. A nightmare creature crawled inside, madness burning in their terrifying empty skulls. Back, get back. That's so scary, bro. The children were pushing against one of the walls, teachers standing between them and terrible monsters with mundane weapons in their trembling hands. The awakened were engaged in a ferocious battle, but just the 5 of them were not nearly enough to stop all the abominations. It was inevitable that sooner or later, some of these abominations were bound to get through, and soon they did. A giant, harrowing beast that resembled an infernal wolf, jagged red spikes growing through its black flesh and drops of saliva falling from its maw, tore free of the battle and lunged at the children. Oh no! Rain had never seen something so unstoppable. How was anyone supposed to fight such a thing? No human possibility could. The teacher tried, however. Several of them drew their bows, but the arrow simply slid off the molded black fur of the hellhound. The headmaster tried to stop the creature with a heavy pike, but was simply thrown away and the weapon flying out of his hands. And then there was no one else standing between the monster and the defenseless children. God damn it. Sunny was at the end of his rope, which in a sense, I scrolled down too much, which in a sense was precisely where he wanted to be. He wasn't trying to stop the flood nightmare creatures by killing all of them anymore. That was simply impossible with how many there were and how many were coming from the gate everywhere. He was, however, trying to draw as much attention as he could, all of the attention really. And to accomplish that, he had to do one simple thing. He had to attack the tyrant. How hard could it be? Oh my god, let's fucking find out. Let's find out. Since wasn't planning to get into a prolonged fight with the damn Burrow Chieftain, or whatever that thing was called. He was just going to exchange 1, maybe 2 strikes with the scary bastard, hopefully deal him a tiny wound, and shadow step into safety. Enough was enough. He knew his limits. Tearing through the mass abomination, Sunny cut a bloody path towards a hulking tyrant, and finally appeared in front of him. As soon as the burial mask with 3 burning red eyes turned his way, Sunny suddenly felt small and weak. The pain he felt in his battered body surged, and involuntarily groan escaped from his lips. He just wanted to stop and fall to the ground. To kneel. Ah, a mind attack. What is this? I thought he's slightly immune to, like, mind attacks. What? This is all, bastard. You should have met Gunlock. Ah, that's funny. Learn how to make real people cower. And also, his own mask was much scarier than the crude thing covering his tyrant's face. Fighting through the oppressive hex, Sunny lunged forward and raised his bloodied spear. He didn't get a chance to attack, though, although it didn't seem that if the tyrant had of the barrel was moving with haste. His hand shot towards Sunny with such a terrifying speed that he barely had time to react. The giant didn't even deem it necessary to use a weapon, intent to crushing him with a fist. Making the mantle of the underworld as heavy as he could, Sunny turned the shaft of the spear and the arrow and held it with both hands, knowing to deflect the blow instead of blocking it. He should have been able to. The fist of the desiccated giant connected with an ancient spear and easily shattered it as though it was a mundane stick and not a memory of the ascended rank. A mundane stick. That's insane. But before Sunny could even feel the terrible impact reverberate through his bones, 5 massive fingers closed around his torso like a steel bear trap and squeezed. Crap. Your memory has been destroyed. Is it the weapon he just got? What a shame. He didn't even get a chance to learn what it was called. The stone-like metal, the mantle of the underworld groaned, but held. His bones reinforced the steadfast temperance of the bone weave held to. Not that Sunny was having a good time. It felt as though he was being slowly crushed to death, unable to draw in a single breath. It hurt as hell too. Much worse than that, actually. But worse still... Oh my god, I can't read. But worse still, while the tyrant had him in his grip, he couldn't use Shadow Step. He couldn't escape. I think I messed up. As Sunny struggled in the tyrant's iron grip, the giant tilted his head a little and easily lifted him off the ground, bringing his crate closer to the 3 burning red eyes. How the fuck does he get out of this advent of death? How does he escape from this? Chapter 493 is called Advent. I was gonna say Advent Children. Sorry, Final Fantasy VII reference. Advent of Death. Sunny gritted his teeth and groaned, feeling his whole body being slowly crushed by the monstrous chieftain of the Barrel Wraiths. One of his arms was pressed against his body, and the other one too was just barely. If only he could free it, but no matter how hard he tried, the tyrant hold was just too strong. Back in the gymnasium, the terrifying beast lunged at the defenseless children. Its mouth was wide open, the red shine of the ghostly flames burning in its eyes, reflecting from the jagged sharp fangs. It was flying directly at Rain, moments away from closing its jaw on her throat. She felt paralyzed by fear, desperately wishing to run, but unable to move. Was this how she was going to die? No, it couldn't be, but it was. Suddenly, a spark of strange dark emotion ignited in Rain's heart. Die? No, not like this. I refuse. She was holding a sword, was she not? Even if that thing was going to devour her, Rain was determined to die fighting, just like she had been taught to. She was going to remain human, now a cowarding animal, only good enough to be stronger beast prey. She owed that much to her parents at least. Knowing full well that her dual training sword was not going to stop a nightmare creature, Rain stubbornly made a motion to raise it. Even though her mind was panicking and her thoughts scattered the body, remembering countless hours of practice. Not that it was going to do her any good. The hound was already so close that she could see every harrowing detail of its hideous snout and frown maw. There was no escape. Unfair. This is unfair. She is definitely Sunny's sibling. It's very unfair, you'd say. Yeah, they are both super unfair. I mean, they are always both in super unfair advantages, right? And super unfair situations. This childish thought appeared in her mind as it had undoubtedly appeared in the minds of countless people just before they were killed. And then something strange happened. Suddenly, 2 beautiful magenta lights. It's fucking insane, right? 2 beautiful magenta lights ignited in the darkness to the side of the lunging creature. Oh my god. A moment later, a dark blade of strange stone-like sword flashed out of the shadows and easily sliced through the abomination's neck. Let's fucking go, dude. Separating its head from its torso. A round shield made of something that fuck, this is so good. This is so good. This is so good. Let's change the music. Let's play Un Vieux à Tamir instrumental battle. Let's play this. I think it fits. If it's too loud, you let me know. A round shield made of something that resembled stone that appeared and swatted the headless body away from Rain, not allowing even a drop of blood to fall on her. As she froze in shock, a graceful woman wearing menacing black armor stepped out of the darkness, 2 ruby flames burning behind the visor of the closed helmet. Rain had never seen someone so terrifying yet so magnificent. W French LARPing? I think I pronounced it right. The woman glanced at her with indifferent calmness, and then she turned around to easily pierce another hound with her stone-like sword, then sever one more in half with a swift, vicious strike. It was as though the flesh of abomination offered her no resistance. She just killed 3 nightmare creatures. And not only that, but she also killed them in the span of a second with a confident, relaxed ease. Who is she? Before Rain knew what she was doing, she heard herself saying in a small voice, "Who are you?" The beautiful knight did not answer and simply stood between the children and the advancing monsters, her back straight and solid like a stone wall. Rain stared at the back, feeling as if nothing was going to get past the frightening taciturn warrior. A burning desire suddenly appeared in her heart. She didn't know whether the menacing Black Knight was a human, a spirit, or a strange nightmare creature, but she knew one thing. Strong. I want to be strong, someday strong like her. In front of the gate, Sunny was slowly suffocating the iron grip of the fallen tyrant. He was being brought closer and closer to the 3 burning red eyes, and as he did, it felt as if... Oh, I scrolled down too much. It felt as if itself was being sucked out of him, his mind bouncing on the verge of breaking apart. Yeah, it's still morning. What the hell? There had to be something that he could do, some trick he could employ to wrestle free, a memory he could summon, an enchantment he could activate, but no matter how hard he tried, nothing worked. Sunny's vision was slowly starting to grow dark. Damn, I need to. He could have summoned the cruel side in his hands if his hands were free, but they were not. He could have turned the mantle of the underworld too heavy for the tyrant to lift, but it was already as heavy as a feather of truth, allowing the weighing as much as a small mountain. What else was there in his arsenal? Sunny was almost ready to panic, and then a subtle change suddenly happened to the world. It was easily missed as we looped the music. It is looped, okay. It was easily missed or discarded, more of a feeling than an actual shift. Sunny only noticed it because it felt strangely familiar. What is it? It felt as though the whole world suddenly became colder by a couple of degrees. But why would it? It'd be cold. Jet? Before he could properly consider the meaning of the subtle change, though, something flashed through the air and suddenly Sunny could breathe again. He could do so because the hands holding him wasn't connected to the tyrant's body anymore. Something cut it? The arm severed cleanly at the elbow. What? Sunny fell to the ground and rolled away as a fountain of seething blood shot out of the stump and used to be a Rafe Cheaton's arm, evaporating and turning into a cloud of scorching red mist. What just happened? Still reeling, he struggled to stand up and saw someone landing on a piece of rubble next to him. It was a beautiful woman. It has to be Jet, right? Right? Yeah, it's Jet. It was a beautiful woman who seemed to be in her late 20s. It is Jet. She was wearing a dark blue. It is Jet. She was wearing a dark blue uniform with silver epaulettes and leather boots. Her short hair and black as raven feathers, and her skin as white as snow. Oh my god, fucking mommy. I mean, Master Jet. It's been so long. Gotta calm down. Calm down. Her icy blue eyes were colder than the deepest reaches of a frozen hill. In her hand, the woman was holding a somber glaive, drops of boiling blood swiftly turning into ice on its slender blade. She looked like death herself. Master Jet, indeed it was Soul Reaper Jet, the Cavalry have arrived. Oh my goodness, the Cavalry is here. Oh, this is so hype, dude. It's insane how good this arc was. I didn't even realize I already read more than 10 chapters. I think we're getting. I think the most we read Shadow Slave was when we were finishing Forgotten Shores. So you know what? I think we're gonna pass that again. Chapter 494 is called The Cavalry. I need a cough. 1 sec. Sunny had never been that happy to see anyone in his entire life. Master Jet arrived just in the nick of time, saving him from having to regret the decision to send Saint to aid Rain. Not to mention that she was really pleasant to look at. More fucking shit. Fucking Sunny, dude. More importantly, taking off a Violent Tyrant's arm with 1 strike. Got a whiplash when I first read it. WLARP. Taking off a falling tyrant's arm with 1 strike, even from an ascended, this was an incredible feat. Tyrants were not creatures one usually dared to challenge alone. Instead, they were dreaded horrors that were capable of decimating whole cohorts of experienced battle-hardened fighters. Masters rarely worked together simply for the fact that there were too few of them and too much for each one of them to do. But facing a tyrant was one of the things that pushed them to the band together, and even then, not everyone was guaranteed to return from that fight. Truly, Teacher Julius had not been exaggerating when he said that even saints were wary of Soul Reaper Jet. And yet, although her entrance was spectacular, would she be able to battle the tyrant and survive? Even though the chieftain was seriously wounded, of course, bro. Even though the chieftain was seriously wounded, the wound came from a surprise attack, and now that she lost the advantage, things could change really fast. As if answering his thoughts, Master Jet glanced at him. Despite the fact that they were surrounded by piles of corpses, the terrifying giant looming above them like an omen of doom, an unexpected smile suddenly appeared on her cold face. Cool mask. With that, Soul Reaper sprung forward, turning into the blue blur. Her movements were so fast that Sunny had only been able to perceive them because he was an awakened, his senses vastly superior to that of a mundane human. Several things happened at the same time. The somber glaive flew away as it spun fast enough to appear as a blurry circle. It cut a bloody swath into mass, abominations eviscerating dozens in a matter of seconds as it moved with a wide arc. At the same... Wow, she's fucking strong. At the same time, Master Drake streaked across the bloodied, broken asphalt and appeared behind the tyrant, then caught the glaive and immediately lunged forward in a devastating thrust. The chieftain was much faster, though. Oh, he's faster than her. His spear seemed to almost teleport in the path of the glaive, positioning for an indomitable block. Something weird happened to them. Master Jet's weapon suddenly turned ghostly and eerily luminous, and simply passed through the shaft of the spear, then effortlessly pierced no face through the creature's armor, burying itself deep into its chest. Right where one of the soul cores should have been. What the? Things didn't go as he had planned. Sunny? I lost my place. Things didn't go... I lied, I didn't lose my place. Things didn't go as she had planned, though. Sunny got the suspicion because of a slight frown that appeared on Jet's face and the fact that the tyrant did not slow down even one bit. Instead of having its soul damaged or one of his cores destroyed, the bastard simply took a step forward and raised his spear, which suddenly ignited with blinding light and flooded the area directly in front of the gate with menacing red radiance. Damn. Damn. Sunny sighed, well, that's my cue to get the hell out of here. That's what I'm thinking. Like, if he's wearing Weaver's mask, he should just leave and let them do it. Well, that's my cue to get the hell out of here. This was not a battle he could handle, at least not in his current state. Master Jet seemed to have the situation under control, even if she ended up as no match for the Barrow Chieftain. She would at least be able to stall him until the rest of the government forces arrived. Sunny, on the other hand, would probably just be erased from existence by the destructive fallout their battle was bound to produce. Since Saint was doing fine in the gymnasium of the school, protecting both the children and the teachers, he didn't have to worry about Rain as well. All that was left was to get more shadow fragments and hopefully an additional memory or two, while Soul Reaper was doing the heavy lifting, of course. It's a good thing that she arrived way faster than the 13 minutes, though. What an exemplary employee. I am starting to understand why Master Jet always seems to be sleep deprived. I hope the government gives her a raise. With that, Sunny picked himself off the ground and used Shadow Step to appear near the 6 Awakened, who were on the verge of being overrun by the advancing nightmare creatures. Honestly, it was a miracle that all of them were still alive. This is good. I thought at least 1 or 2 of them would have died. Summoning the Odachi once again, Sunny cut down a hunter who had been aiming at the familiar young woman with a bow and gave her a curiously glance. Something exploded behind him in the direction Master Jet was fighting the tyrant, painting him with shades of deep red. Lord MONGREL, what should we do? Wasn't that obvious? Run, you idiots. Grimacing behind the fearsome black mask, Sunny opened his mouth and said, his voice full of resentment towards the fact that he had to tell such an obvious lie. Stand and fight. The girl stared at him, a sudden expression of shame clearly written on her face. Of course, this is what an Awakened ought to do. Surprised and infuriated groans, and he strengthened his aching muscles and raised the Soul Serpent. What a joke. I better not see that quote going viral on the network, and it probably did. It's probably already gone viral. In the end, the gate was contained with miraculously no civilian casualties. Soon after Master Jet appeared, the government strike force finally arrived. Several swift air carriers. Hold up. Him saying, "Isn't it obvious we should run away?" They'll be like, "Wait, he's such a wise man. We must make space for Master Jet because she had it under control. He was there to protect us until she arrived." That's what people are going to be saying on the internet. Soon after Master Jet appeared, the government strike force finally arrived. Several swift air carriers descended from the skies in the howling of jet engines, and dozens of Awakened jumped down and clad in highly qualified armor wielding powerful weapons. Almost at the same time, armored vehicles appeared on the road and opened fire on the masked nightmare creatures. Their spell-tech cannons managed to obliterate the weaker abominations and herd more and more powerful ones away from the city's streets. Operated by the mundane humans, these machines were meant to control the battlefield and make it easier for the Awakened to eliminate those creatures too tough for human weapons to destroy it reliably. More cohort machines and mundane soldiers followed. The Master Jet unbelievably ended up actually killing... scroll down too much. Master Jet unbelievably ended up actually killing the turret. The break in their battle came when she suddenly shifted from attacking the chieftain himself to aiming for the three-eyed skull that he wore as a helmet. As soon as she managed to crack the skull, the red flames burning in the eyes of the wraith were extinguished, leaving them disoriented and weakened. Many simply fell to the ground, losing their prevented lives. The tyrant staggered and then collapsed in a heap of rotten fur and desiccated flesh, sending a tremor through the bloody battlefield. This time he was truly and utterly dead. After that, the scales of the battle tilted drastically in the favor of humans. We did it. Noticing a dedicated team of Awakened enter the school to secure the students, Sunny dismissed the saint and glanced at the scene of slaughter one last time. His heart was in agony, not because of the havoc and destruction that seemed to envelop one peaceful street, but because of all the soul shards and contribution points he was going to miss out on. Such cruelty, such injustice. This fucking dude, he's so greedy. He's like, no, the travesty. Well, at least he received a very large number of shadow fragments, several memories, and even learned a new, profound, and devisely deadly battle style. This thought did not console him very much, though. Almost at the very edge of crying, Sunny sighed and dissolved into the shadows. Without saying anything or demanding any credit, Mongrel was gone just as he suddenly had appeared. All that was left behind were scores of dead nightmare creatures and the memories of those who saw him fight. And sometime later, in a dark and empty alley, Awake and Sunless, who avoided the summons to defend the gate, walked towards an especially remote corner and bent down to pick up the Covetta Scoffers, which was fearfully looking out from behind a big garbage container. Taking his communicator, Sunny patted the box of the lid and dismissed it, then stared at the screen with a dark expression. A heavy sigh escaped from his lips. Ah, it's good to be a coward. What's with the dark expression? Does it say something because like, oh, you ran away, so now you're in trouble? Is that what happened? Okay, we're gonna look at the artwork. You can turn off battle music. Oh my god, thank you for saying that. I would have kept the battle music playing the whole time. I'm so sorry. Let's just play a little bit of Verso. So we're gonna quickly look at the artwork, and we're gonna end the recording. So I do apologize for people that are watching this as a VOD. Technically, the video is gonna end, but we're just splitting them just because we've had I don't know if you guys remember, but we've had a few instances where stream just doesn't end or cut. I mean, the recordings don't end or cut, so I'm trying to keep the recordings to like 2 to 3 hours long each. But we're still gonna go for 8 hours today. So if you're watching it live, you're in luck. So this is Aiko artwork. I think we missed this one. W money spread, bro. She'd be spreading that money better than me. We gotta work on that. I like Aiko already. More Aiko. Oh, this is Aiko. I like her. She's cool. She's just holding money. I'm sorry. Is that her whole gimmick as being like Sunny's like manager basically for the for his emporium? Wait a sec. I missed more artwork at the top, didn't I? You guys mentioned there's a lot of artwork on... Oh, here you go. All the family picture. Mongrel in the Coliseum. I think I saw this. I stopped right here. This is what... We should have looked at this by VOD watchers. We should have looked... Did you look at the map? Oh, I saw a map down here, so we'll look at it. We'll scroll down. I'm just going back up to like chronological order. So this is Sunny's mom. Oh, born on the solar eclipse. Born a day void of the sunshine, my sunless child. Aw. Oh, this is beautiful. Did you look at the map? Nami, has anyone else pre-ordered the Shadow Slave physical book? I've already pre-ordered the book. Yeah. Hey, official, this is a funny game. Try to know who's my favorite. Dude, there's like no way, man. Even I have memories when I was like maybe like as early as 3 years old. I have very faint memories when I was 3. Yeah, I think when I was 3. I have a few faint memories. I think that's like my earliest memories ever. So I feel like a part of her would remember this like a little bit, or like maybe she would just remember that like, oh, she had a older brother named Sunless. Maybe a little bit, right? I don't know. What is this? Is this when he ran into her? For years I've dreamed of finding you, saving you. It's been years I didn't even know what you look like anymore. Finally I found you. Your big brother's here to finally save you. Oh, I see. Oh, that's sad. You're so happy. You look just like mom. We're so different, aren't we? I shouldn't be in your life. I'll bring nothing but problems, and you don't observe that. It's raining. How fitting. Huh, fuck. Damn, that's sad. I knew deep down that you never needed saving. I knew that you'd live a happier life without me. I hope you'd be happy. You're doing okay. I should be happy that your life is a dream. Then why does it feel like a part of me has died? That is so sad. Oh, I wanted us to be a family again. Pathetic, isn't it? I was desperately clinging onto that hope, that dream, but that's all the past now, isn't it, Rain? I hope you take good care of yourself. Goodbye. And wow, that's so sad. This is a good fan art. What the fuck? I can't remember. He didn't actually have a picture though, right? Of them. Damn, that's sad. So this is Mongrel. I think I've looked at this in the past. And I've seen this artwork when I first started looking at Shadow Slave. When I first started Shadow Slave and I was trying to find artwork for this, I remember I looked at that. I was like, who the fuck is that? Like that's not this dude. That's somebody else. But this is him wearing the Onyx armor, right? That's fucking cool, dude. That's so sick. This is like some crazy ass bleach mask right here. When he's wearing like oh my god, it's been so long since I've read Bleach. The Arankar mask. Or the Hollow mask. That's fucking cool, dude. I shouldn't click on these, right? Oh, I've seen this one. I was planning to use this as a thumbnail for today's stream. We finally have a date for the manhwa. Really? Wait. Is it confirmed? Yes? Oh, that's tight. Wait. Do we actually have a date? Tyrese. Oh, Saint Tyrese. Tyrese, right? Tyrese of the White Feather Clan. Oh, she looks beautiful. You know who she looks like? What's her name from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? The Armstrong. From the Armstrong siblings, there's the guy, and then there's a female General Armstrong. She kind of reminds me of Armstrong. Damn, she looks beautiful. Damn. God damn, she looks badass. Saint Tyrese, White Feather. Wow. Can you give me a tip, Alma? Dude, she looks fucking badass. Now I can see why she was so fucking menacing when she looked at Sunny and she's like, hey, so did you go down there? It's like, yeah. Okay, never say it again. It's like, why? It's like, I can't tell you. Damn, man, she looks menacing as fuck. Now, the only thing I will say, I don't think this is a spoiler because you guys are just sharing fan art. I don't think I've ever seen her fight, right? She hasn't been described fighting yet. So I don't know if this is hinting at her abilities. There's like some like lightning thing going on. Saint Tyrese is the goat? Dude, she looks like the goat. Oh, you only asked the question. Okay, you said no, you're asking a question if there's been a release date. I thought you were like confirming, like, yo, bro, they just announced it. I was like, no fucking way, dude. This is crazy. She looks really good. I think right now, Effie is my favorite female character, like art-wise. And then Nephis' design is so fucking cool with her armor. And then like with the silver crown and like the white flames. I think that's my favorite. And also because in Monster Hunter, I wear the Summer Festival crown that also has the white flame. So maybe that's just like a part of me just liking it a lot. So this is Rain. Is this when she called him a brat? Like, yo, what's up, brat? That's so funny. Oh, this is so sweet. You see, there's no way the dad that adopted her didn't hear that, like, hey man, she has an older brother called Sunny, and they're like, would you like to take both? And he's like, no, we only want her. I can see that being a thing. Yeah, I did not look at this. Tyrius is one of my goats. One of your goats. Who else is a goat? I've looked at this. So this is the official Weaver mask on Webtoon. So here's the thing. I thought we were only gonna get volume 1 of the web novel. If they're showing this, I feel like they're implying they're going to do all of the Forgotten Shore arc. Maybe that's just me coping. Maybe season 1 of the manhwa is the whole Forgotten Shore arc and they're not just going to split it. Because I feel like one thing that might be obvious is I feel like the web novel is going to be a lot more fast-paced. Not just because MONGREL is the poster boy. You think it's because of that? I get it. I mean, he is. He is. That's why he's on the cover of the Western release, right? But I still like the German edition, man. Like, in the German one, they don't actually show him. Oh, we looked at this before, right? This was the person speed painting? I forgot the name of the artist. And this is crazy. Is this the Covet's coffer? Or the mimic lunging at him? Yeah. That's insane, dude. People are so fucking talented. It's crazy. Forgotten Shore is so long, the manga was probably going to split into 2 seasons. Okay. Yeah. I mean, especially knowing how long it takes to do manhwa and how long the breaks are between, yeah, you're probably right. And now I think we're caught up, because I remember I just looked at this and then I never scrolled up. You guys mentioned this one might have been AI or not. Yeah, I think I remember you guys said that. AI. Yeah, so this was the map that we read when we were down in the temple. When we went to the very, very bottom of the sky below, right? This was technically the map he read about. This is Bastion. This was the bridge that had like an ice mountain and volcano, hollow mountains. And okay. When it said this was the Weaver's Mask, I assume this is where Sunny found the Weaver's Mask and the Forgotten Shore. So we know about this location, this location, this location, this location, and we got information on here, this spot, and this spot. Okay. Go Lost from Light. That was cool. Man, I can't get over that. I still think that Forgotten Shore finale was like just some of the greatest shit ever, bro. Like, I never thought in a million dreams when you guys were hyping me up, like, yo, you're not gonna see it coming. I was like, I'll see it coming. Watch. I've taken and consumed a lot of media. I know exactly what's gonna happen. I did not see that coming. Even when my friend told me, like, I was shocked. The fan hours inspired by chapter 406, Leave Nothing Behind. I think you've gone through the chapter already. I'm not sure if you caught up though. This one, right? Ah, it was on 2. Okay, got it. Because I remember I asked because I was gonna use it as a thumbnail. Okay. Yeah, okay. Now we're good. Thank you. Now we're caught up. Ebony Tower implications based on chapter 454. So this is kind of like my map, right? It's my map. Well, no, this is based on the map they described. Yeah, that sounds about right. This is the Forgotten Shore, Dark City. Right, is this the Dark City or the Crimson Spire? I feel like this is the Dark City because Dark City was in the middle. Hollow Mountains. This was the bridge. Yeah, so this is the same thing that was said in the map. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna read more. Yeah, we're just going through the artwork so I can take a quick 10-minute break. So this was the first gate encounter. 6 people, right? 6 awakened. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Damn, this is insane. I can't get over how good this is. Yeah, we're just gonna take a quick 10-minute break. Mongrel cosplay. Guys, are we gonna be cosplaying as Mongrel next year at Anime Expo? I'll be honest, I'm a little bit sad. This is the first Anime Expo I am going to miss since COVID. I've gone to basically almost every Anime Expo since like 2016. And I really wanted to go this year and wear like a suit and tie and go as Klein Moretti from Lord of the Mysteries. And then next year I was going to do Shadow Slave. But this is tight, or maybe just split them up. Yo, this is some crazy ass drip, bro. How do we do this? Like, can I just 3D print this shit? I can just 3D print Weaver's Mask, right? Is that a thing? Can people do that? Is there like a 3D print version of that shit somewhere out there on the internet? Saint and Mongrel, fucking badass. You know what's cool? I like the fact that now Rain knows about Saint. So I feel like one day when Sunny has a fated encounter with his sister and he runs into her in the dream realm and he has to protect her, he's gonna summon the Saint. He's like, yo, what the fuck? Sunny? Wait, is Sunny Mongrel? Wait, why is Saint doing here? And then it's like, oh shit, he saved me. It's gonna click. It is gonna click. Jet RO? Yeah, that cosplay is fucking cool, dude. Wow. Shadow Slave. Dude, she is beautiful. She's all fucked. She has tattoos? She is all fucked up. I didn't know she had tattoos. Yo, this artist is amazing. Igno Ramus. Shadow Slave. That's crazy. Who is this? Fuck Caster. Fuck him. We don't like him. Is this supposed to be Caster in the film of A Song of Light and Darkness? Sunny in the sky below talking to the rock, and then here's more dread. That's so funny. This is when he was shocked, right? Is this when he was already eating the food? That bastard. All right, man. I think we're gonna leave it there, man. I am so excited to read. Don't worry. I mean, that's it for the VOD. We're gonna take a quick 10. So if you're watching the live, also don't be mad. We leave the streams as members only for people that want to support. It's only $1. But that way, I don't know. I feel like it builds hype, right? Like, oh my God, when's the next video coming up? But we also need to space them out like at least a day. So even though the stream is going to continue, the videos are sadly going to be 24 hours apart. And then that gives me at least a little bit of leeway to catch up and stay consistent, and at least the videos stay consistent. But man, I am ready to read more Shadow Slave. And if you guys are excited, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Because I genuinely believed that Sunny would be protecting Rain in that moment. But I think it was actually better that Saint came in. What is that translation? I don't know. We don't know if she has any tattoos. Okay, so that was up to interpretation. That makes sense. All right, man, I'm ready. That was, dude. Besides, like, how hype the finale of the Forgotten Shore was on the Crimson Spire, him fighting in the Colosseum in the Dreamscape, which I want more of, by the way, and like all the shit happening on the Chained Isles, I think this gate fight near school grounds is like top 3 fights as of right now. I don't know if that's a common thing. Yeah, people on Discord like Caster for some reason. I don't know, man. Y'all weird. For some reason, the people in my Discord server, they like Caster. I don't. Oh, on Reddit? I don't know if that, maybe they're just saying that to be different, you know? What's the word I'm looking for where people like, I actually like him even though he's mean? I don't know. Or maybe you know what I think it is? I think people just love to hate him, and for that reason they like him. Like, they love to hate him. Caster deserves no praise and no fame. Yeah, but I think people just love to hate him. So I think that's what they mean when they say they love him. Listen, Easy Caster did nothing wrong, bro. You're gonna be banned for life if you say that again, Uncharted. Yeah, we're just gonna take a 10-minute break, but we're just ending the VOD recording. So if you like what you see and you want to see more, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you guys all next time. Peace. Have a beautiful and amazing day. Later, guys. Peace. Later, guys.